Chapter 846, Twin Dragons and Phoenixes, 3rd Rank Music Mastery. I'm pregnant, let me see. Lu Chongqing learned that Ling Zixiao was pregnant and was overjoyed. He pressed his head against her stomach, feeling the new life being nurtured inside. Although as a foundation establishment cultivator he could use his divine sense to check for the presence of a life force, for this child, he had been longing and so expressed his affection in this way. You've been a father for so many times, yet you still act like this. Ling Zixiao gave Lu Chongqing a playful glare, her face blooming with a smile, heart filled with joy. She was also delighted and full of anticipation for the child's arrival. However, in the midst of her joy and anticipation, some worries inevitably arose. Even though both she and Lu Chongqing were cultivators, foundation establishment cultivators, they couldn't be certain that their offspring would definitely possess the spiritual root. It was only highly likely that they would. Thinking of how many children without a spiritual root had been sent from by Lake Mountain to the secular world, to Hushan Town over the years, her brows furrowed with concern and indecision. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. This child is Zixiao's, naturally it's different. Lu Chongqing held his wife's hand, smiling as he spoke. He thought if this child could inherit Ling Zixiao's dragon roar physique, then his Lu family could boast another talent not inferior to Nangong Yao Yao. Yet, the thought of having a daughter inheriting the dragon roar physique gave him a bit of a headache. What's wrong? Lu Chongqing, keenly aware of the hint of worry in his Dao companion's eyes, expressed his concern. It's nothing, just suddenly a bit worried. Ling Zixiao gently shook her head, speaking softly. Seeing Ling Zixiao, who usually handled affairs decisively, with a firm grasp on every situation and with everything in order, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but let out a wry laugh at her current concern. He thought that every woman undergoes certain changes after becoming a mother. I've thought about this matter a long time ago. This is an elixir medicine I obtained long ago, named Spirit Melding Pill. Take it 3 months into the pregnancy, and you can ensure that the fetus will definitely have a spiritual root, and it can even enhance the child's innate talents. With this spirit pill, Zixiao, you need not worry. Lu Chongqing took out the spirit melding pill from the system space and handed it to Ling Zixiao, speaking in a warm tone. Spirit melding pill. Guaranteed to possess a spiritual root, and it enhances talent and aptitude. Ling Zixiao looked at the elixir in front of her, her heart filled with shock and delight. Although she had not heard of the spirit melding pill's name before, even through its straightforward effects, she knew its value. Such an elixir medicine was at least 3rd rank, possibly even 4th order. Thank you, my lord. She turned to Lu Chongqing with gratitude. Thank what, this is our child after all. Lu Chongqing wrapped his arms around her full waist, speaking gently. Then the two sat side by side and chatted idly, discussing some matters about their home. As they talked, Ling Zixiao became concerned about the baby's sex and the future name of the child. Since the fetus was just conceived, she couldn't tell whether it was a boy or a girl, and it would take some time to find out. Lu Chongqing thought to himself that it's indeed true that one can be silly for 3 years with a pregnancy. Usually smart and quick-witted, Ling Zixiao became like this after getting pregnant. Immediately, he agreed with her and they began to discuss the child's name. They eventually decided if it was a boy, they would call him Lu Lingxiao, and if it was a girl, they would name her Lu Lingyi. Just then, Lu Miaoge walked out of the cave mansion. She was dressed in a plain white dress, her appearance pure and graceful, her figure lithe. Seeing Lu Chongqing and Ling Zixiao with happy and tender expressions, she spoke with a tranquil air. Chongqing, Sister Ling, what joyous occasion is this? Zixiao is pregnant, so we are discussing names for the baby. Lu Chongqing stood up, led Lu Miaoge over, and laughed. Congratulations to Sister Ling. Lu Miaoge, aware of Ling Zixiao's pregnancy plans, immediately congratulated her upon hearing the news. Amid her words, she couldn't help but miss her daughter Lu Qingzhu, and a thought crossed her mind. Should she have another child with Lu Chongqing? After all, most of the wives and concubines in the family had 3 or 4 children, some even 7. Her husband loved children so much, yet she had only given birth to 1. Moreover, she and Lu Chongqing practiced the Tai Yi life water technique, which was a technique designed for Tao companions. This technique was not only helpful for their cultivation and breaking through realms, but once it reached a small achievement, and after both had established their foundation, it also provided some assistance in having children. Late at night. In the simple yet elegant interior of the Chongqing Hole, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge practiced their dual cultivation. As the two slowly revolved their cultivation technique, yin and yang converged, and a trace of the primordial life force emerged. Immediately, within the qi ocean core of Lu Chongqing, the yin-yang fish that had formed from the yin-yang energies appeared and swallowed this trace of primordial life force. Once the yin-yang fish had almost digested this trace, it entered the body of Lu Miaoge, nurturing her Tao foundation. Further evolution of the perfect foundation base was even more difficult than Lu Chongqing had imagined. Or rather, Xiao Xi's transition of foundation gave Lu Chongqing a misconception, making him think that the transformation of the Tao foundation was easy. Years had passed, and Lu Miaoge's superior Tao foundation had grown significantly condensed and robust under the nourishing of the yin-yang energies and primordial life force, yet it still showed no signs of transition. Of course, there was a reason for this. Previously, he had mostly used the yin-yang energies for healing Ling Zixiao and mending her Tao foundation. Chongqing. Lu Miaoge's voice, gentle as a descending fairy, flushed with the warmth of mortal desires. What is it, Sister Miaoge? Lu Chongqing caressed his wife's skin, as soft as mutton fat jade, and softly inquired. Let's have another child. Lu Miaoge's lips parted softly, her voice tender. A child, Lu Chongqing arched an eyebrow upon hearing this. Having children was something he readily agreed to if his wife wished. Yet, thinking of their daughter Lu Qingzhu, who had grown so much, was still outside and somewhat tender and sensitive, he softly replied, "Of course we can." Chapter 847, Dragon and Phoenix Twins, 3rd Rank Music Mastery. But there's no rush for this matter. Wait until you break through to foundation establishment mid-stage. By then little Zhu will also be almost home, and you can tell this elder sister. Lu Chongqing said this. On one hand, he was considering his daughter's feelings. On the other hand, he wanted to see if the system could draw any heavenly and earthly treasures or secret techniques related to nurturing the fetus. After all, he held considerable affection for Lu Miaoge through their many years together and had a touch of favoritism. He hoped she would give birth to a child with exceptional talent. Such an event would be good for both himself and Lu Miaoge. Okay, Lu Miaoge replied with a gentle and warm smile upon hearing his words. She had previously considered the matter regarding her daughter. Having reached such an age, and staying outside for so long, coming back to a new brother or sister might be somewhat unsettling. Moreover, the higher the cultivation level she and Lu Chongqing achieved, the better the innate talent of the children they would have. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site a month later. Chongqing Hall. What, twins? Lu Chongqing was checking Ling Zixiao's health and a look of delighted surprise appeared on his face. Over the years, the family had given birth to 2 sets of twins. But he had never imagined that Ling Zixiao would actually be pregnant with twins. This development was pleasantly surprising for him. Emichim. Ling Zixiao responded softly, her beautiful and elegant face blushing slightly and filled with sweet joy. It wasn't in vain, the efforts of your husband these past days. Lu Chongqing said with a look of joyful pride. He felt it was all worth it to spend so much time with Ling Zixiao. But in the next moment, he realized a problem. Wouldn't having twins mean that the efficacy of the spirit pill he had given Ling Zixiao would be divided between the 2 fetuses, causing its effects to weaken? Would it still guarantee that both offspring would possess a spiritual root? Ling Zixiao gave Lu Chongqing a sideward glance, finding him somewhat lacking in seriousness, and spoke softly, "It should be dragon and phoenix twins, a boy and a girl. In that case, the boy can be the elder brother, and the girl the younger sister." She had initially planned to have both a son and a daughter, and now it was accomplished all at once. "Good, well, do it your way, Zixiao, and the names we picked out before can all be put to use," Lu Chongqing said cheerfully. He didn't continue to ponder the effects of the elixir but simply told Ling Zixiao to take extra care of her health. Afterwards, he went to check on the status of his other wives and children and to see how Chu Xinjin and Lu Miaohuan were progressing with their heavenly longevity technique cultivation. With Lu Miao's guidance, both started without issues at the beginning. However, based on their feedback, Chu Zenshin's auspicious tree was easier to refine, so her efficiency was comparatively faster. Luoyun Mountain Range. Atop a mountain peak, with pavilions and terraces, stood a supremely noble and stunningly beautiful person in a colorful palace dress. She stood with hands behind her back, gazing into the distance. Her dress and hair fluttered in the breeze, emanating a majestic presence. "Master, a letter from the sect." At this moment, Xiao Shiyu, clad in a moon-white dress and with an aloof and cold demeanor, arrived at the peak and presented a jade slip to Yun Wanshang with respectful words. "What letter?" Yun Wanshang asked, turning back, her dignified and frosty beauty softening slightly. "It's a secret message from the sect, only to be personally opened by you, Master," Xiao Shiyu said. "Oh, may I see?" Yun Wanshang said, lifting her hand to beckon. The jade slip in Xiao Shiyu's hand immediately turned into a ray of rainbow light and fell into the lightly lifted hands of Yun Wanshang. "Excellent, excellent, excellent." Seeing the information inside the jade slip, Yun Wanshang's beautiful face revealed a surprised joy. Xiao Shiyu, seeing her master in such a state, expressed some surprise and curiosity. Her master, as the enforcement hall master, always bore a dignified air while on missions outside, and yet now she showed such joy. "Your elder sister has successfully achieved core formation. The sect will soon be hosting a core formation grand ceremony for your sister. I must stay here to oversee matters and cannot return." Yun Wanshang informed, "Shiyu, return to the sect immediately, convey congratulations to your sister on my behalf, explain the situation, and help her with some affairs." "What, elder sister has achieved core formation?" When Xiao Shiyu heard this, her cold and proud features revealed an excited beauty. After all, this was core formation. A realm countless cultivators dream of reaching. Once core formation was achieved, one would step into the ranks of high-rank cultivators, masters of their own fate. Even within the Qingyun sect, a nascent soul immortal would belong to the higher echelons with significant influence. Considering that when she first entered the sect, her sister Chu Qingyi was a foundation establishment cultivator, often out on missions, and now she had achieved core formation. Her thoughts briefly wandered before she returned to her own future and the supreme forgetful love technique. "Yes, Master." She responded without dwelling further and gave a respectful bow. "Master, do you know the quality of elder sister's core formation?" Xiao Shiyu asked curiously. She was aware of her sister's extraordinary talent and the great expectations her master had for her, aiming for a superior gold core. "Your sister is still in closed-door cultivation to consolidate her cultivation level, so the letter did not reveal details, only mentioning that when your sister achieved core formation, spiraling clouds of spiritual energy reached 10 miles, which anticipates a high possibility of a superior gold core," Yun Wanshang said. While speaking, she gracefully raised her hand, and a jade slip appeared, tossing it to Xiao Shiyu. After returning, "Hand this jade slip over to your sister." "Yes, Master." Xiao Shiyu accepted the jade slip and nodded. She then bid farewell to her master and left the Luoyun mountain range to return to the Qingyun sect. Bihu Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion. Che, a core formation grand ceremony, inviting cultivators from all over Jiang country, Lu Chongqing said, holding the invitation in hand, making a clicking sound with his tongue. This invitation came from the Qingyun sect. Half a year ago, Qingyun sect's Fairy Chu Qingyi broke through to core formation. Under such circumstances, the Qingyun sect would naturally hold a grand ceremony for core formation. Chapter 848, Dragon and Phoenix Twins, Third Stage Music Mastery. After all, such a grand ceremony could elevate Qingyun sect's reputation and prestige to a whole new level. Thus, all the foundation establishment families and powers under Qinjian's rule had received an invitation and could attend the ceremony. Yuner, ask Qingzhou Mountain and 100 Birds Lake later about what gifts they plan to send, and our family will prepare accordingly, Lu Chongqing said to his son, Lu Yun. Attending such a ceremony naturally required a generous gift. He had no intention of being unorthodox or giving an exceptionally rare item. Just something somewhat superior to what Qingzhou Mountain and 100 Birds Lake would offer would suffice. Yes, father, Lu Yun responded, nodding to his father's words. Yuner, although you are the family head and busy with many matters daily, do not neglect your cultivation too much, Lu Chongqing said softly after glancing at his son. His son possessed a 7th grade spiritual root, but his current cultivation level was only at the 5th level of qi refinement, which indeed lagged behind. However, he also knew that, on one hand, Lu Yun devoted his time to the family affairs. On the other hand, this son had 1 wife, 5 concubines, and 8 children. Your child understands, Lu Yun responded respectfully upon hearing this. Wuxia world. Sight, Lu Chongqing patted his son's shoulder and did not say much else. Cultivation was not something that could be forced. Lu Yun probably understood that even with effort, his talent meant there was no hope of reaching the foundation establishment without focusing on other areas. Later, Lu Chongqing went to inspect the puppet factory and visit his son, Lu Xianji. Currently, of the Lu family's 3 major factories, the puppet factory, the wine brewing factory, and the talisman-making factory, only the puppet factory was thriving and showed great promise. The wine brewing aspect was profitable but only minimally so. Its future prospects were limited. Or to put it another way, even though Lu Chongqing possessed 2nd-rank wine brewing skills, he couldn't make a hit product or break into the market without investing significant time testing it. As for the talisman-making factory, its earnings were even less. It was fair to say that his family also counted as a talisman path family, with everyone possessing some skill in talisman making. Through years of his guidance, his son Lu Xianji had reached the level of a high-grade puppet master. This talent was quite ordinary. Compared to some recruited puppet apprentices, even other children, it was nothing special. But fortunately, he was diligent in his work and competent in all aspects. With him managing the golden armor spirit bean, the core fusion formation, and the inscription skill, Lu Chongqing felt very reassured. Father, the factory is now capable of producing Battle Beast Puppet number 4, but the process is not yet stable, and given the raw material costs, it's challenging to turn a profit if we scale up, so we can only use it to break into the market and gain a reputation. The child plans to test the waters at the auction, then gradually release it into the market. Lu Xianji reported on the factory situation to Lu Chongqing. Alright, you can decide on these things yourself, Lu Chongqing said, nodding. Though he understood puppetry and had a general grasp of the business, he never interfered. He generally left it to his children. After inspecting the puppet factory, he went to see his beloved daughter, Lu Wangshu, to teach her cultivation and talisman making, and then he joined her in fishing. After many years of fishing, Mr. Lu, despite his poor luck, had also become skilled at it. Although it might seem he favored his daughter, after spending time with her, he would also pay attention to all his children. Of course, for talents like Lu Qingxian, Lu Xingyang, Lu Xingchen, and Lu Qingyan, he focused a bit more. After all, if the family were truly to rise to prominence, it needed a core group of strong leaders. And these talented sons were easier to develop. As for his son Lu Chuanjun, he spent most of his time in the Red Maple Marketplace. Regarding this son, he, as a father, frankly lacked a sense of achievement. However, his daughter Lu Caizhen and Hong Yi's son, Hong Xuanji, were set to marry. Lu Chongqing didn't care much about this. After all, on the secular side, not only did his son Lu Wuyu marry Li Feiyu's daughter Li Shuer, but the two families had also intermarried. Hong Xuanji was commendable in his conduct and dealings. The only issue was Lu Chongqing felt this nephew wasn't entirely sincere towards his daughter. It seemed likely he partly intended to marry into the family to climb up socially. But since his daughter was willing and the young man treated her well, he had little to comment on. Congratulations, host, 70 of your progeny have broken through to martial Dao innate, gaining a bloodline effect, probability of progeny increased by 5%, and a chance for a draw. That day, while Lu Chongqing was crafting a talisman, a system notification echoed in his mind. Martial path is doing well organized, Lu Chongqing said with a smile upon hearing the notification. I wonder what'll draw this time. He opened the drawing system and immediately said, System, draw. Instantly, a golden light began spinning on a light red wheel. After a moment, the golden light stopped on skills. Ding, congratulations, host, you have acquired a 3rd rank music mastery. The reward has been placed in the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A symbol of music mastery appeared as a light orb from the big wheel, accompanied by the system voice. 3rd rank. Music mastery. Lu Chongqing looked at the reward, momentarily stunned, then speechless. The good news was admitting that among the skills, one could draw a 3rd rank skill. The bad news was, it was music mastery. Regarding it, Lu Chongqing was unsure what to say. After all, if he got something more useful, not to mention formation or artifact refining. Even spirit plant, medicine, beast taming, goo insects, or swordsmanship would be many times better than music mastery. If it were 2nd rank music mastery, Lu Chongqing wouldn't feel so dismayed. After all, this wasn't his first time drawing a useless skill. Sigh, music mastery then. While not very useful, if I were to think about it, it might be of some use. Maybe even with a good command of music, I could capture the heart of some art-loving female cultivator, Lu Chongqing sighed, comforting himself. Presently, with a slight movement of his will, he looked at the music mastery skill in the system space. 3rd rank music mastery, upon use, immediately obtain the full 3rd rank music mastery along with basic scores. Chapter 849, Shiyu, how about I go and ask your master for your hand in marriage? Activate. Lu Chongqing utilized the 3rd rank melody technique from his system space. Instantly, numerous pieces of knowledge about music mastery entered his mind. Introduction to the Path of Music, complete collection of 1st grade music mastery, complete collection of 2nd grade music mastery, complete collection of 3rd grade music mastery, playing the flute, blowing the shao, strumming the qin, great sounds are rare, elegant music needs no embellishment. After a long time, this 3rd rank music mastery really has something to it. Wuxia world. Sight Wuxia world. Sight. Ko Lu Changsheng's expression became dazed, as if he was a world away when he opened his eyes, which revealed astonishment and surprise. Before this, although he was aware of the music mastery, his understanding was not profound. He only knew that in Jiang country there was a sect called the Huanin sect. This sect was famous for its music and dance. And many high-level performers in marketplaces and brothels knew some music and dance. They could cleanse the cultivators' souls and calm their spirits through music and dance. The more skilled could even help break through mental barriers and bottlenecks. But now, after acquiring the 3rd rank skills, Lu Chongqing realized that these methods were just a small part of music mastery. The skills he acquired, although basic, were comprehensive. Besides soothing the mind and dispelling heart demons, music mastery had many other technique aspects. For instance, integrating music techniques with wind techniques to attack people. Integrating divine sense attacks with music to confuse and mislead others. Or using illusions and bewitching techniques on people, using music to aid in the distraction. I heard that the main cultivation of the Huan Yin sect is the musical technique, proficient in vocal and dance performances, with secondary studies in illusions and bewitching techniques. It seems that in their daily dual practices, they combine music with illusions and bewitching techniques. Lu Chongqing stroked his chin, deep in thought. I have the immortal beauty technique, the peach blossom goo, and even possess the flawless heavenly fragrance body, which are perfect for cultivating bewitching skills. If I were to switch to cultivating bewitching and music skills, wouldn't my future be limitless? Just then, Lu Chongqing had a sudden realization, feeling that his situation was particularly suited to follow the path of the Huan Yin sect. Firstly, his appearance and aura were already there. Secondly, the flawless heavenly fragrance body significantly enhanced bewitching techniques. However, thinking about confronting enemies like a male demon through bewitching techniques, Lu Chongqing felt a chill and immediately discarded the idea. Compared to such crooked paths, he still preferred honest, straightforward combat. However, it's possible to consider integrating music mastery with my talisman formation. While playing the flute and strumming the qin, simultaneously launch thousands of talismans, using them to bombard while the music causes interference. Lu Chongqing considered another direction. In his view, that would be a lot cooler. However, achieving this would not only require thorough familiarity with both the talisman path and path of music. It also demanded control over the caster's mental spirit. Otherwise, a single error could occur. Showing off can be fun, but let's forget about it in real fights. Lu Chongqing shook his head, dismissing the thought. Though confident he could multitask, his cultivation was not focused on music techniques, limiting the power he could wield with sound-based spells. Rather than confusing others with music, it was better to subdue enemies with talisman formations or combat with a magical sword or treasures. In the evening. At the Lu family mansion. After dinner, Lu Chongqing took out a bamboo flute and toyed with it in his hands. Then, he raised it to his lips and gently blew into it. Woo! The flute's sound was melodious and pleasant, attracting the astonished gazes of his wives, children, and family members. Sri! Lu Miao's green jade luan bird, housed in the backyard, startled by the sound, fluttered its wings and danced in the air, emanating an ethereal aura. Lu Chongqing had initially thought to just show off. But at that moment, his heart became utterly serene. He felt an indescribable clarity, as if his spirit and body were transcending. After the song, no wonder they say music mastery aids in cultivating sentiments and breaking through mental barriers, it even helps oneself somewhat. Lu Chongqing slightly realized with an epiphany. Beautiful. Dear, do you also understand music? Dear, what's the name of this song? At that moment, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Xinjin, who witnessed the scene, were filled with admiration and curiosity. Especially Lu Miaohuan and Chu Xinjin, admiration and affection overflowed beautifully. Wow, Daddy is so amazing. Daddy, I want to hear more. Daddy, I want to learn this, I want to learn this. The children cried out in unison, especially Lu Wangshu, who ran right to her father's side, eyes sparkling, expressing her desire to learn. Haha, with nothing much to do, I dabbled a bit, which helps in cultivating sentiments. Lu Chongqing looked at his wife, his mood joyful, and spoke with a smile. Then, he patted his beloved daughter's head and looked at his children. All right, another piece, if you like it, Daddy can teach you. He was quite willing to teach his children music mastery. Especially for someone like his daughter Lu Wangshu, who was not diligent in her duties. Immediately, Lu Chongqing continued to play. Without a fixed score, purely expressing his mood and emotions. Under the third rank skills, he created his own melody, filled with his current joy and spiritual satisfaction, soothing to the ears. After all, this was the life he pursued. Under the beautiful scenes created by flowers and the moon, a harmonious and content family, leisurely and free, immortal path evergreen. After the piece ended, again inciting admiration and acclaim from his wives and children, Lu Chongqing felt his mood brighten, thinking that this skill was indeed valuable. Then he sat aside and began teaching vocal music to his kids. For cultivators, embedding the score in a jade slip would allow for quick mastery. Chapter 850, Shiyu, how about I go and propose to your master on your behalf? The difficult part was integrating mana into the musical technique. Nonetheless, Lu Chongqing used the simplest and most direct teaching method, doing it himself, which conveyed a sense of achievement. Half a month later, Su Ruyan emerged from her retreat. She had successfully contracted the heavenly demon Phoenix as her life-bound beast. Although the once-infant heavenly demon Phoenix did not show a significant increase in strength after the full contract, it seemed to have grown up a lot. Husband. Su Ruyan came to see Lu Chongqing first thing. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Clad in a fiery red dress, her tall and alluring figure was complemented by her red hair, which now seemed to have an added tinge of pale golden sheen, bestowing her with an even more noble, sacred aura. Lu Chongqing had looked over the beast technique and knew that cultivating it would induce changes based on the contracted demon beast. Yes, not bad. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. Lu Chongqing gazed at the Su Ruyan before him and nodded slightly. Senior Red Lotus was overseeing everything, so there was no chance for any mishaps during her cultivation. When do you plan to attempt foundation establishment? Lu Chongqing asked. I will follow my husband's wishes. Su Ruyan answered, her red lips gently parted. Do you need the foundation establishment elixir for your breakthrough? Lu Chongqing inquired. If she needed the foundation establishment elixir to break through, he would send Su Ruyan back to the Su family to do so, rather than wasting the elixir. After all, since he had given her the heavenly demon Phoenix, he no longer entertained the thought of keeping her captive. On the one hand, she was nearly ready to return. On the other, he had promised Senior Red Lotus. As long as Su Ruyan was obedient and performed well, he would let her go, and might even reward her. Now that she had fulfilled these conditions, it would be against his nature to be deceitful. Moreover, it was not his intention to keep Su Ruyan confined within Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven indefinitely. It was not only impractical, but also a waste. According to what he knew, no one from Wugong Ridge Xing family had managed to achieve foundation establishment for years, and the family was thoroughly under the control of the Yushui Su family, with no possibility of reclaiming the spirit land. The Yushui Su family had initially taken the Wugong Ridge Xing family under their wing because they coveted the spirit land at Wugong Ridge. On the one hand, the location was rich in spiritual insects which suited the beast-taming Su family's industry. Additionally, they planned to use Wugong Ridge as a strategic location to expand business once Su Ruyan or another family youth managed a foundation establishment breakthrough. Hence, Lu Chongqing was considering releasing Su Ruyan to plant a seed for future possibilities. Now that I have the heavenly demon Phoenix, I do not need the foundation establishment elixir. Su Ruyan said softly. The beast technique she practiced was profound, and her spiritual power had already been refined to perfection. Now with the heavenly demon Phoenix contracted as her life-bound beast, she was confident she could break through without the elixir. Alright, if that's the case, then attempt your foundation establishment here. It will also make it easier to explain when you return to the Su family after the breakthrough. Lu Chongqing stated. Return home. Hearing this, Su Ruyan's heart skipped a beat, and she suddenly looked up at Lu Chongqing with eyes brimming with joy and disbelief. She had thought she wouldn't be able to leave for decades. But now, Lu Chongqing was saying she could go back after her foundation establishment. She had nearly spent 8 years in Mount Sumra Cave Heaven, and it was impossible for her not to miss her home. After all, her parents and grandfather must be extremely worried, having not returned for so long. Of course, I made a promise before that as long as you behaved, I would let you go. Lu Chongqing looked into her incredulous eyes, pinched her cheek affectionately, and said with a light laugh. Thank you, my husband. In that moment, Su Rian's heart was filled with endless gratitude, and she was moved to tears. All right, spend the next few days resting well, and then prepare for your foundation establishment. Observing her reaction, Lu Chongqing gently stroked her smooth, shiny hair, and spoke softly. Then he continued, by the way, I need to speak with Senior Red Lotus. Senior Red Lotus, Su Rian immediately called for Red Lotus. Instantly, an ancient talisman, the size of 2 fingers and etched with bizarre beast patterns, flew out from her forehead. The talisman glowed, with countless tiny red specks emerging, coalescing into a sacred figure wearing a bejeweled crown and red gold embroidered lavish palace dress, with a perfect face and an ethereal form. Young Master. Senior Red Lotus' gentle and elegant voice rang out. Senior Red Lotus, do you know of any methods to cultivate and rapidly grow a spirit vein, other than the spiritual origin pearl and spiritual spring? Is there anything that can rapidly promote the growth and advancement of a spirit vein? Lu Chongqing addressed Red Lotus with his question. Spiritual vein cultivation method. Upon hearing this, Red Lotus said softly, the Vermilion Bird Palace where I was once situated indeed had methods to expedite the growth of spirit veins. But these methods require the consumption of vast quantities of precious resources. They also require the arrangement by a feng shui master and dragon seeker. Senior Red Lotus spoke up, indicating she was aware of the heavenly and earthly treasures that could be used to speed up the growth of a spirit vein. However, unlike the simple presence of a spiritual origin pearl or spiritual spring, these required a feng shui master and dragon seeker to arrange. Otherwise, it would be difficult to integrate into the spirit vein and might even affect its natural conditions. While she was proficient in a number of skills, she had not mastered these 2 techniques. Feng Shui Master, Dragon Seeker, Lu Changsheng's brow quirked. He had heard of dragon seekers, known to be experts in the vein probing technique, skilled in locating spirit veins and spiritual springs. However, he hadn't heard of feng shui masters. That's right, Senior Red Lotus confirmed, and began to describe these professions to Lu Chongqing. Feng shui masters could comb through earth veins and alter feng shui patterns to accelerate the growth of spirit veins. High-rank feng shui masters could even influence the nebulous fortunes of the heavens and earth through feng shui layouts. This art was exceedingly rare, and only a very few could master it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 851, Shiyu, how about I ask your master for your hand in marriage? Dragon seekers, besides surveying spirit veins and spiritual springs, could also intercept the origin source of a spirit vein, thereby nurturing other spirit veins. Nurturing spirit veins has a simplest method, and that is to use spirit stones, especially supreme spirit stones. These kinds of stones not only contain abundant spiritual energy but can also continuously extract spiritual energy from the earth and sky, impacting the surrounding environment. However, if you wish to cultivate a second-grade spirit vein to a third-order spirit vein, the resources consumed far exceed those required to cultivate a nascent soul cultivator, Hong Lian continued, indicating that it was very difficult to quickly grow and advance a spirit vein. Like many great clans among the immortal sects, they relied on the gradual accumulation over the days and months to nurture their spirit veins. Sigh. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply, feeling somewhat headache. He felt that unless he happened upon a large quantity of spiritual springs or had skills in feng shui and dragon-seeking technique, it was impossible to cultivate the family's spirit vein to third rank before core formation. Even acquiring those skills, given his family's financial power, it would not be easy to cultivate it to the third rank. Alright, I understand. Source, web novel. Updated on Omicron. Lu Chongqing nodded, then asked Hong Lian about some other matters. In early years, Ling Zixiao had been his encyclopedia. But now, Hong Lian had taken over Ling Zixiao's role in this regard. 1.5 months later, Su Ruiyan began her foundation establishment. With Hong Lian around, Lu Chongqing was not worried. Yet, considering safety, he still handed over his own foundation establishment elixir to Su Ruiyan. In case she encountered problems during the process, she could consume it. That day, through a yin-yang sensing talisman, Lu Chongqing found out that Xiao Xia had come to Blue Lake Mountain, and he immediately went to meet her. It had been years since he and Xiao Xia had parted. "Shiyu, have you finished your tasks at the Luoyun mountain range?" Lu Chongqing saw Xiao Xia in front of him, clad in a moon-white dress, her face noble and cool, and he spoke with a smile. "My senior sister has broken through to core formation, so I have come back to congratulate her, to preside over the ceremony. I found out Chongqing had returned, so I came to see." Xiao Xia's eyes softened as she spoke gently. She had mainly come to see Lu Chongqing and to visit her daughter. "I see." Lu Chongqing nodded, understanding that the affairs of the Luoyun mountain range were not concluded so quickly. He stepped forward and embraced Xiao Xia's slender waist, looking at her exceptionally beautiful face that resembled the 9 heavens' bright moon, and said in a low voice, "Shiyu, I've missed you." Such words, rich with tender affection, made Xiao Xia's delicate body tremble slightly. She initially had some words at the tip of her tongue, which she then swallowed, emitting only a delicate hum through her nose. Lu Chongqing held her tightly, whispering sweet nothings in her ear. At that moment, he too felt Xiao Xia's flowing, unending longing. Then, the two exchanged their feelings of longing. It was unclear how much time had passed as Lu Chongqing continued to hold the fairy Shiyu tightly. The fairy's hair became disheveled, with strands sticking to her now flushed beautiful face, her bright eyes half open, shimmering with emotion. "Shiyu, what if I go to the Qingyun sect and ask your master for your hand in marriage?" Lu Chongqing softly expressed his longing for Xiao Xia. The Novel Fire. In website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Xiao Xia's soft body felt like silken thread as she quietly nestled in Lu Chongqing's embrace, motionless, savoring the lingering thoughts of longing. Upon hearing Lu Chongqing's words, her heart surged with joy, shyness, nervousness, and a flurry of emotions. During her journey back, she had struggled internally, knowing that if she continued to indulge in this relationship, there would be no hope for her core formation in the future. But abandoning this relationship was also unbearable for her. So, she had planned to set a deadline with Lu Chongqing, to commence a strict retreat once she had broken through the late foundation establishment stage. But unexpectedly, upon seeing Lu Chongqing, all the prepared words could not be spoken. And she was utterly disoriented by Lu Chongqing's abruptly mentioned proposal. "Chongqing, how did you suddenly bring this up?" Xiao Xia said somewhat bewildered. "I feel it's too unfair to you, Shiyu, so I want to be with you officially. Besides, Wang Shu is quite grown up now. It's not right for you to keep avoiding others, Shiyu. I want to tell everyone that you are the lady of the Lu family." Lu Chongqing looked at Xiao Xia and spoke softly. Though his initial attraction to Xiao Xia had been superficial, with both harboring ulterior motives, over the years, they had developed deep feelings for one another. When he initially established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, he held a wedding ceremony for all his wives to make up for what they missed, detecting a hint of longing in Xiao Xia's expression. She wanted to be with him officially, to hold a grand ceremony. So, he had promised to gain her master's approval, to go to the Qingyun sect and ask for her hand in marriage, to hold a grand ceremony. He didn't know if he was approved yet. But he believed his situation was worthy of asking for her hand in marriage. Whether it would succeed or not was another matter, but he had to show his determination. Chongqing, Xiao Xia lightly pressed her moist lips together, her expression vacant. Shiyu, is there something troubling you? Lu Chongqing, holding her fairy-like body, asked gently. He had already keenly sensed that Xiao Xia had something she wanted to say during this visit, so he had swiftly brought up the matter. It's nothing, Xiao Xia gently shook her head. We've been together for so long, isn't there anything you feel uncomfortable saying? Lu Chongqing spoke openly and calmly. This time, my senior sister's breakthrough made me. After a moment of silence, Xiao Xia softly voiced her thoughts. She couldn't bear to deceive Lu Chongqing, nor did she want to mislead him. Lu Chongqing sighed internally, realizing Xiao Xia was still struggling with this issue. Or rather, Xiao Xia had previously kept this issue buried in her heart, deliberately avoiding thinking about it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 852, Shiyu, how about I ask your master for your hand in marriage? _4 Her elder sister Chu Qingyi had a breakthrough core formation, prompting Xiao Xia to once again seriously consider this issue. Lu Chongqing could understand this. After all, if one's Dao heart were not steadfast and their pursuit of cultivation not sincere enough, Xiao Xia would not have chosen to practice the supreme forgetful love technique in the first place. Shiyu, trust me, by the time you reach core formation, I will certainly have found a completely compatible technique. Lu Chongqing, holding her jade-like hand, continued to speak with a serious and determined expression. Even though he had no guarantee in his heart, he still repeated these words, providing her with a sense of security. Seeing Xiao Xia's expression still somewhat tangled and distressed, Lu Chongqing changed the subject. Shiyu, what do you think about what I just said? Kaiyun True Immortal should be aware of my existence. When I previously went to Qingyun sect, I was troubled by Lady Meng. It was your master who helped me. This should mean that the True Immortal reluctantly recognizes me, right? Lu Changsheng's face displayed a hint of a smile as he said, this time, for your sister Qingyi Fairy's core formation celebration, I have also received an invitation from Qingyun sect. How about I accompany you to meet Kaiyun True Immortal then? Master has not returned, she is still presiding over the Luoyun mountain range. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Zero. Xiao Xie replied subconsciously. If the True Immortal has not returned, then we will wait for her. Whenever she is back, inform me, and I will go with you to meet her. Lu Changsheng's hand was gently caressing the smooth and delicate body of the fairy, seizing the moment to continue persuasively. Xiao Xia's eyebrows knitted, her pearl-like teeth gently biting her moist cherry lips, and her beautiful eyes showing a hint of bewilderment. Wasn't she just talking about core formation? How did it become about meeting her master? All right, stop worrying so much, with me here, you can relax. Lu Chongqing, watching the expression on Xiao Xia's face, said gently and continued the intimate moment. After a while, the two had their moment and got dressed. Xiao Xia, thinking about the promise she just made to accompany Lu Chongqing to see her master, still felt a bit dazed. But following her heart, she indeed wanted to be above board and openly be with Lu Chongqing. Let's go, Wang Shu will be delighted to know you've returned. Lu Chongqing said gently to the fairy-like beauty before him. Emichim. Xiao Xia heard mention of her daughter and her eyes were filled with affection. Then the two flew toward Bai Shui Lake. After all, aside from classroom time and sitting meditation time, Lu Wangshu was usually by Bai Shui Lake. Before long, they saw their daughter by Bai Shui Lake, with the cold blue mysterious turtle pulling a small boat. This boat was not ordinary. Not only was it pulled by a mysterious turtle, but it also had a tea stove, a fishing creel storage bag, a bait box, a fishing hook, defense formations, speed formations, and a small attack cannon. This was a simple puppet boat modified by Lu Xianji for his little sister. At that moment, Lu Wangshu, in her pink and white dress, stood on the small boat holding a jade flute, producing a clear and pleasing sound. When did Wangshu learn to play the jade flute? Xiao Xie showed delight and surprise upon seeing her daughter's actions. She had once taught her daughter the piano, but the girl's interest was lukewarm, and she stopped learning after a while. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Wangshu, oh, Lu Wangshu, you really are a genius. Lu Chongqing, watching his daughter's actions, commented with a degree of speechlessness. Recently, his daughter had been pestering him to learn musical techniques, and he thought his daughter had finally come around to learn something elegant. But at this moment, seeing many spiritual fish attracted by his daughter's flute, he instantly understood why she had learned it. He really couldn't fathom why his daughter loved fishing so much. Just then, the lake water suddenly splashed and churned. An enormous fish, its body a deep red and its whiskers long, was caught on Lu Wangshu's fishing rod and emerged from the water's surface. It opened its mouth, revealing a full set of sharp teeth, almost a demon beast, and charged towards Lu Wangshu's boat. It finally took the bait. Lu Wangshu saw this scene, her face brimming with joy, and immediately acted with her spiritual power. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a gust of cold wind fired from the boat's small cannon. As the large fish was stiffened by the cold wind, another cannon fired a bolt of small lightning, completely immobilizing the fish, which was then pulled aboard by Lu Wangshu. Dad, Mom. At that time, Lu Wangshu looked up at Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xie in the sky, a look of surprise on her face. Then she excitedly called out, "Look, I caught a carp king. I invite you both to drink fish soup tonight." Wangshu. Xiao Xie stepped forward, looking at her radiant and beautiful daughter with tender affection in her eyes. Although they were mother and daughter, standing together they resembled sisters, with very similar features. Xiao Xie, having practiced the supreme forgetful love technique, even when facing Lu Chongqing and Lu Wangshu, had a gentle yet somewhat cold and noble demeanor. Lu Wangshu, on the other hand, was like Xiao Xie in her younger days, her face always carrying a bright and easygoing smile, her demeanor graceful. She shared her joy with her mother, the newly learned piece of music and her beloved little boat. Although the boat was made for free by Lu Xianji, she still used her own private money to pay for the materials. Moreover, the little boat was not perfected in one go, she had later added and upgraded several components. Lu Chongqing quietly watched his lively and charming daughter, not saying anything to her. Although he held great expectations for her, he wasn't too strict. As long as she wasn't completely absorbed in play to the detriment of her ambition, it was fine. Moreover, although Lu Wangshu loved to play, she was very sensible and didn't fall behind too much in cultivation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 853, Nangong Mealy, let you taste the unique love goo of the 5 poisons cult. Xiao Xie had matters to attend to and did not stay at Bai Lake Mountain for long. The next day, she returned to the Qingyun sect. Because of this, Lu Wangshu felt a tinge of disappointment. However, lucky for her, she was spirited and cheerful, and by the next day, she had bounced back to her usual self. Ling Zixiao might have gotten pregnant and felt bored reading books alone in Chongqing Hall, so she occasionally visited the Lu family mansion to chat with Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, and others to relieve her boredom. Lu Chongqing was very gratified by this situation. Before, Ling Zixiao's demeanor truly tended to be haughty and solitary. Apart from him, she was somewhat close to Lu Miaoge. Normally, when chatting with Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Xinjin, and others, although she was pleasant and cheerful, it was mostly out of politeness, never taking the initiative to start a conversation. Now that she was willing to reach out on her own, in Lu Changsheng's view, it was a good thing, fully integrating into the family. During these days, Lu Changsheng's daily routine, besides the usual cultivation and talisman making, included spending time with his wives and teaching his children. He occasionally gave guidance on Li Xingruo's alchemy. Source: Web novel. Com updated on N0 New. After all, the news of his identity as a second-order alchemist spread, leading many people from the surrounding area to request elixir medicines. But he did not wish to spend a large amount of time on alchemy. Thus, he thought to train Li Xingruo to become a second-order alchemist as soon as possible, which would make things much easier for him. Just like that, 3 months passed by in the blink of an eye. On this day, in the alchemy chamber on Lake Heart Island. Open! Li Xingruo lightly shouted, her hands performing gesture incantations continuously, causing the top of the green pill furnace before her to fly open with a bang, and steam filled the air. Following that, pill after pill the size of a longan, of a brown hue, flew into her hands. This batch of harmonizing energy elixirs amounted to 13 pills. 7 were of prime quality, and 6 were inferior. But just this alone was enough to fill Li Xingruo with immense excitement. Because such a success rate signified she had become a genuine second-order alchemist. She could make money by concocting harmonizing energy elixirs. Looking at Lu Changxing beside her with a face full of excitement and eagerness, she said as if offering a treasure, "Mountain Master, I've succeeded." "Not bad, Xingruo, congratulations on becoming a second-order alchemist." Lu Changxing looked at her joyful and excited expression and spoke with a light chuckle. "It's all thanks to the Mountain Master's guidance, otherwise I wouldn't know when I could have brought the harmonizing energy elixir to this stage and become a second-order alchemist." Li Xingruo, realizing she had gotten a bit too excited and lost composure, spoke softly. She was well aware that her rapid progress was not only due to Lu Changsheng's daily teaching and guidance but also because of his strong cultivation of her. After all, whether it was alchemy or the 100 arts of cultivation, one couldn't go without the practice, character. Even with the advice of a master, without the chance to try hands-on, it is difficult to achieve much. With your alchemy talent, Xingruo, even without me, it wouldn't take too long for you to become a second-order alchemist. Lu Changxing, almost instinctively, patted her head gently as he spoke. This gesture made Li Xingruo's cheeks blush slightly, feeling somewhat shy, yet somehow enjoying it. In earlier years, when Lu Changxing was disguised as Yi Fan, his gentle instructions reminded her of the times her father taught her alchemy. Now, Lu Changxing no longer disguised himself. Such a handsome and fairy-like visage, and a demeanor like a graceful orchid or a robust pine, occasionally brought different thoughts to her mind. Especially when she recalled the playful words Sister Ling once said. Regarding Li Xingruo's advancement to a second-order alchemist, Lu Changxing did not hold an elaborate ceremony to celebrate as he had done on Qingzhou Mountain but instead held a small celebration for her at home. He also had Lu Yun upgrade Li Xingruo's benefits and welfare by a notch. That evening, Lu Changxing received another piece of good news: one of the concubines at home had become pregnant. "It wasn't in vain that I've been trying so hard lately." A happy color appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. Search *the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Because he saw that the total number of his offspring was about to reach 200, there was a high likelihood the system would give out more child money. Hence, he had been relatively more active and diligent this year. With this newly conceived child, his total number of offspring had finally reached 200. However, it seems I should take in another concubine. Lu Changxing calculated the number of his concubines awaiting pregnancy and silently pondered. Although most of the concubines he brought home were for the purpose of having children, he could not treat them entirely as breeding tools. After about 5 or 6 births, he usually would not let them continue to give birth. On one hand, continuing to do so was inhumane. On the other hand, there were multiple considerations. For example, it would not look good if the children of the concubines grew up and saw their own mothers still giving birth continuously. Moreover, Lu ancestors' ability to attract female cultivators to offer themselves revolved around his reputation and word of mouth. If female cultivators married into by Lake Mountain and had to give birth until death, Lu ancestors' reputation would be ruined long ago. Let alone female cultivators offering themselves, it might even become easy to be targeted by some female cultivator big shots as a member of the demon path. Let's wait until Zishao has given birth before considering it. Lu Chongqing shook his head. He might not be as respectful or considerate towards the feelings of his concubines, but he would try his best to consider and care about the feelings of his wives and Dao companions. Like now, with Ling Zhixiao still pregnant, it really would not be good to take in another concubine or by maids. Back then, Feiyu said he would return in 2 to 3 years. Now, it's almost 3 years, and Feiyu still hasn't come back. He hasn't really encountered any trouble, has he? At this moment, Lu Chongqing thought of his good friendly Feiyu at the Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Back when he returned from Yu country, he had a premonition that the substitute talisman he gave Li Feiyu had been activated. Now, as the 3-year period mentioned by Li Feiyu was almost up, his absence truly worried Lu Chongqing. Pingon has also almost been out for a year by now. I wonder how his experience has been. Lu Chongqing then thought of his son, Lu Pingon. Unknowingly, this son had also been traveling outside for a year. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 854, Nangong Mealy. Let you taste my 5 poisons cult's unique love goo. Lu Pingon had mentioned that this trip would roughly take 3 to 5 years, and he would return once he broke through to the energy refinement late stage. But there shouldn't be any issues on Yao Yao's end. She just broke through to the 4th level energy refinement not too long ago. Even though she has a 2nd-grade spiritual root and possesses the flawless heavenly fragrance body, she couldn't possibly cultivate at such a pace without Nangong Mealy's nurturing. Lu Chongqing thought of his daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, whom he had not yet met. He had previously sensed that the threads of affection on Nangong Mealy had been severed, and he was worried about his daughter and Meng Xiaocan's situation. Now, seeing that his daughter was making rapid progress in her cultivation, he knew there probably wasn't anything to worry about. After all, even a tiger doesn't eat its young. Nangong Mealy had decided to give birth to this child, likely under the influence of the Lockhart goo. But under those circumstances, she must have had some willingness, some maternal love. I wonder if Nangong Mealy will come to Jiang country to cause trouble for me. Lu Chongqing pondered within his heart. Although he had changed his attitude afterward and even gifted the exotic treasure, the Misty Sky Bead, to Nangong Mealy, source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron 0, before that, he had indeed been quite disrespectful to the nascent soul Immortal, clashing rather fiercely. What if she really comes looking for trouble? If I use the Misty Sky Bead to disguise, won't I be in trouble? At this moment, the thought of the Misty Sky Bead's effect seemed to strike Lu Chongqing hard. This treasure, if used to infiltrate a family, could be a devastating weapon. That's not right, I have Mount Summer with me. As long as Mount Summer stays alert, there shouldn't be much of a problem, right? Lu Chongqing paused, and then went to consult Mount Summer on this matter. However, since Mount Summer had not seen the effect of the Misty Sky Bead, it could not be certain. If that's the case, I need to be careful. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. 5 Poisons Cult, Tianzhu Peak. Within a resplendent palace. Xiao Chan, go and collect these materials and goo insects for your master, Nangong Mili instructed her daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, handing a jade slip to Meng Xiaochan. Yes, master. Meng Xiaochan accepted the jade slip and took a quick look. Ha! Meng Xiaochan was surprised and doubtful as she looked at the materials listed on the jade slip. As a true disciple of the Five Poisons cult, she naturally knew what these goo insects and materials were used for. Love goo. Why was Master preparing to make love goo? Could it be because of Lu Lang? Was Master planning to use his own methods against him? But Lu Lang had a heavenly goo within him. Even if the love goo crafted by Master was of an extremely high grade, it might not necessarily be able to contend with the goo in Lu Lang, would it? At this moment, Meng Xiaochan felt conflicted, wondering whether to tell her master about the heavenly goo. But if she told her master, wouldn't that harm Lu Lang? Xiaochan, what's wrong? Nangong Mili noticed Meng Xiaochan's odd expression and asked with a voice that was soft and alluring. The disciple will make the arrangements right away. Meng Xiaochan regained her composure, bowed politely in response, and then left the hall. It seems Xiaochan has guessed why I am crafting the love goo. Nangong Mili watched her departing disciple, her phoenix eyes narrowing slightly, swirling with a magical luster. Just as Meng Xiaochan suspected, the love goo was indeed intended for Lu Chongqing. Although their encounter was brief, she knew that he was no simple character. To have him willingly cultivate the immortal golden core for her, she had to use some tricks. Thus, she thought of the unique love goo of the Five Poisons cult. This goo would not only make the affected person fall in love with her but also drive them to overcome all dangers just to be with her. Its effects even surpassed those of the Lockhart goo. After all, the Lockhart goo subtly influences others to develop feelings of affection. But once separated, its effects could fade. However, the effect of the love goo made the afflicted desire to never part, to be together forever. With this love goo, not only could she control Lu Chongqing, but she could also get him to relieve Meng Xiaochan of her goo. Lockhart goo. Lu Chongqing, I will let you taste the power of the Five Poisons cult's unique love goo. Nangong Mili murmured to herself, her beautiful eyes shimmering. Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Qinghuan Peak, in a cave mansion halfway up the mountain. Foundation Establishment, Success. Li Feiyu opened his eyes, and two sparks of fire appeared, then slowly dissipated. He touched his face and palms, a look of thrilled satisfaction spreading across his features. Foundation Establishment. This was the realm he had longed for, dreaming of reaching. At last, he had achieved it. Quite some time must have passed outside, right? Li Feiyu gazed towards the outside of his cave mansion, not bothering to consolidate his cultivation level. He opened the cave mansion and stepped out. Outside the cave mansion, a man in his 50s or 60s, dressed in a yellow robe, stood with his hands behind his back. Seeing Li Feiyu open the door to his cave mansion, the man's face revealed a mix of surprise and astonishment. Then he smiled, stepped forward, and bowed. Congratulations to Daoist Li on breaking through to Foundation Establishment. I am fortunate to break through Foundation Establishment, thanks to City Lord. Li Feiyu smiled, nodding respectfully towards the peak of Qinghuan Peak. His successful Foundation establishment owed much to the Azure Phoenix Immortal. However, if he were to truly express gratitude, it would also be for Lu Changsheng's life-saving talismans and treasure map. Otherwise, he could never have gained such an opportunity. Now that Daoist Li has emerged, you may report to Qinghuan Hole. This is a small token of appreciation from me, congratulating Daoist Li on his breakthrough to Foundation Establishment. In the future, please look kindly upon me. The yellow-robed old man spoke, his eyes revealing a touch of envy, as he presented a brocade box. He had heard that this man was once a loose cultivator, but by some stroke of luck, he caught the eye of the City Lord, the Azure Phoenix Immortal, who bestowed upon him a Foundation Establishment elixir and Foundation Establishment spirit objects. As long as he succeeded in Foundation establishment, he would be able to join the Azure Phoenix Guards and take up the position of Capital Commandant. Now that he had successfully achieved Foundation establishment, his future was limitless. Steward, you flatter me. Sir the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 855, Nangong Mealy, Let You Taste My 5 Poisons Cult's Unique Love Goo. Li Feiyu felt a touch of emotion as he accepted the gift. He still remembered the time during the Beast Tide when he had caught a glimpse of Steward He from afar. Back then, as a Foundation establishment cultivator, Steward He seemed unreachable to him. But now, Steward He was treating him with such courtesy. Li Feiyu knew in his heart that this was entirely because of the Azure Phoenix True Immortal. His current power might not necessarily match that of Steward He. The courteous attitude was entirely because they were in the city named Azure Phoenix Immortal City. He did not think much, bowed his hands, and then headed to report at the Azure Phoenix Hole. Bihu Lake Mountain. Mount Sumero Cave Heaven. Sister Miaoga, please pay more attention to the family in the coming days. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Omicron, Z Xiao, remember to take good care of your body. I will come back immediately after the ceremony is over, Lu Chongqing said to his wife, Lu Miaoga, and Ling Zixiao. Now, at Qingyun sect, Fairy Qing Yi's core formation ceremony was still half a month away. Although his Bihu Lake Mountain was close to Qingyun sect, it would not be feasible to just time his travel on the dot. Thus, he and Lu Yuanzhong and others had arranged to go together. Don't worry, Chongqing, the family is safe with me here, Lu Miaoga said softly, her face gentle and beautiful. These days, because Su Rian was focusing on her Foundation establishment, she had not cultivated but spent most of her time making talismans. In her free time, she used Tai True Water to nourish Ling Zixio's physical body. Although Ling Zixio's body had recovered, being pregnant still drained a lot of her vitality. Thus, using Tai True Water to nourish her body was beneficial not only for her but also for the fetus inside her. This too could be considered winning from the womb. Okay, I'm leaving now. Lu Chongqing gently hugged his wife and Dao companion, then rode the flying shuttle to Qingzhou Mountain. By this time, Bai Yunyang was already waiting at Qingzhou Mountain and courteously bowed when he saw Lu Chongqing arrive. Then the three of them set off together for Qingyun sect. Families like the Wugong Ridge Xing family, which had no Foundation establishment cultivator seated at home, did not receive an invitation this time. However, such small families would usually send someone to Qingyun sect to leave a gift at the gate and then depart. After all, an immortal sect like Qingyun would not care about these small families, but those below them might. So this had also become a customary practice. Jinyang sect, the back cliff of Tianyuan Peak. Lu Qingshan, clad in a gold-white magical robe, sat motionless. Threads and wisps of golden sword chi emanated from his body, filling the air with a sharp aura that seemed capable of tearing the heavens and shifting the sun and moon. This mere sharp aura alone was enough to give others a sense of irresistible reverence, diminishing their own momentum by a third. Not far away, Yen Yuan, dressed in a luxurious red gown and appearing languid, sipped her drink and marveled at her disciple, who was undergoing a breakthrough. Ever since his parents visited, not only had his cultivation surged dramatically, but his progression in the sword Dao was also remarkably swift. It was as if he had clarity of the sword heart, mastering several sword techniques and entering the first realm of the sword Dao, sword chi like a rainbow. Now, just breaking through to the 9th level of energy refinement, he already exhibited such an unrivaled sharp aura, it was imaginable how astonishing his future growth would be. Boom! Lu Qingshan's spiritual power surged within him, sending a gust of wind that made his robes flutter and dust swirl around him. He opened his eyes, looked towards Tianyuan True Immortal not far away, rose, and bowed his hands, Master. For him, breaking through to the 9th level of energy refinement was just a natural progression, nothing too surprising or joyful. Not bad, you've reached the 9th level of energy refinement so quickly. How is your cultivation of the true Yang 12 swords? Yen Yuan, holding a gourd of wine, took a sip and asked casually. As a nascent soul immortal, she could naturally see that such changes in her disciple were connected to his parents. Especially after tasting the wine gifted by Lu Changxing, she detected a hint of the flavor of the spiritual ice spring, knowing this was not a treasure an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator could produce. Please instruct me, Master. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan bowed, then produced a golden magical sword in his hand. Chu Yang. His lips slightly parted as he uttered 2 words. With his words, his magical sword thrummed, and a white gold sword chi emerged, breathing in and out unsteadily. As Lu Qingshan's eyebrows raised, he sliced through the air, shooting forth and piercing a giant rock in the distance. Xiao Yang. Lu Qingshan's magical sword shone brilliantly, releasing an overwhelmingly dominant sword chi that seemed as if a golden sun was faintly visible, spreading dazzling light that made it hard for one to keep their eyes open. The golden sun transformed into over a dozen sharp sword chi bursts towards the trees ahead, causing them to burst into flames and turn into charred remains in an instant when pierced by the sword chi. Wuyang, slash. Lu Qingshan's magical sword suddenly slashed forward in his hand. Sar the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In an instant, a swordwheel resembling a golden sun rolled forth, leaving a deep trench in the earth ahead. After 3 swords, he did not continue. The true Yang 12 swords could only be used up to the first 3 swords in the Qi refinement realm. This true Yang 12 swords of yours, Tianyuan True Immortal watched the 3 moves Lu Qingshan executed, her brows slightly furrowed. Even though Lu Qingshan possessed a Gingjin body constitution and cultivated the great Gingjin sword art, the power was somewhat astonishing. Moreover, his sword technique made it seem as if he had a style of his own. Apart from the true Yang 12 swords, I have also looked into sword techniques such as the profound water sword technique, the green lotus sword art, and the slaying character art. Even though these sword techniques are different, in my view, they ultimately converge to the same path, differing only in difficulty, hence the distinctions. So in the past few days, I thought about adapting this sword technique to better suit me, making it more handy and natural to use, Lu Qingshan stated, standing tall with a light smile on his face. After obtaining the Seed of Law, not only had his sword Dao talent increased, but his appearance had also subtly changed. His originally handsome face, with rosy lips and white teeth, now displayed more angular features with a heroic air, and his eyebrows were sharp like swords, making him a true epitome of robust and stellar features. More suited to oneself, upon hearing this, Tianyuan True Immortal stunned and unable to speak. Although it said that techniques and magical powers must constantly be broken down and integrated with one's understanding and insights, such a statement coming from a Qi refinement cultivator was filled with discomfort. Especially since the true Yang 12 swords was considered top-tier sword technique. Have you encountered any problems with this sword technique? Tianyuan True Immortal's face, previously relaxed and casual, now showed some seriousness. The 4th move, Xingyang, requires foundation establishment and the digestion of mana to be executed, so I thought, if that's the case, simplifying this move might make it executable even in the Qi refinement realm. Lu Qingshan shared his thoughts and queries. Besides cultivating the great Gingjin sword art, under Lu Changsheng's guidance, he had also contemplated the first 2 layers of the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture. This mutual referencing deepened his understanding of sword techniques. However, after Lu Changxing finished teaching, he left, and many aspects were still not clear to Lu Qingshan. Your thinking is not wrong. Tianyuan True Immortal didn't accuse him of being overly ambitious but explained the principles involved. Additionally, she noted that if a high-level sword move was simplified, the effects and power might not necessarily be strong. It could be more powerful, but the excessive digestion might be detrimental in combat. She promptly demonstrated other similar techniques for him that could serve as trump cards or life-threatening moves. Thank you, Master. After having his questions answered one by one, Lu Qingshan greatly benefited and bowed respectfully. If there are no other questions, you may go now. In a few days, I need to make a trip outside. By the time of the competition trial, taking the first place won't be a problem, will it? Tianyuan True Immortal asked. Originally, she thought that her disciple could only aim for among the top 10 and fight for the top 3. But now, she believed he could contend for first place. Master, I will certainly not disappoint you. Lu Qingshan's eyes sparkled intensely. In his calm and serene words, there was a fullness of confidence. Even if Yan Yuan didn't mention it, he was determined to seize first place in this upcoming competition, to secure a foundation establishment elixir for his sister. He. Seeing her disciple so confident, Tianyuan True Immortal couldn't help but smile, returning to her usual lazy and casual demeanor before transforming into a rainbow light and disappearing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 856, Core Formation Grand Ceremony, Twins Born. Qingyun Sect. Due to the core formation ceremony, the Qingyun sect had been bustling with excitement recently, like a market in session. Countless cultivators rushed to Qingyun sect to offer congratulations. Even many loose cultivators came near the Qingyun mountain range. At the foot of the mountain, they hoped to encounter some esteemed person who would take notice of them and thus grant them an opportunity. CTH Novel, F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After Lu Chongqing, Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and others arrived at Qingyun sect, they presented their gifts and were arranged to reside in the guest quarters, waiting for the ceremony to begin and to observe it. Cultivators like them, at the foundation establishment stage, were naturally given a unified reception by the Qingyun sect disciples. Only the Heavenly Sword sect, Luoxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, Huanyin sect, and Azure Phoenix Immortal City, such influential forces at the nascent soul level, would have a steward from Qingyun sect to receive and make arrangements. However, this ceremony still allowed Lu Chongqing to meet many family forces here. Among them, many family ancestors and stewards invited Lu Chongqing to visit their homes whenever he was free, as the younger generations admired him. After all, in the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family was not really significant, and many people hadn't even heard of them. But in the Qingyun region, among the Foundation establishment family forces, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family still had a certain reputation and importance. And those who recognized his name knew that this Lu ancestor was fond of beauties and loved having children. Because of this, people were willing to make his acquaintance through such means, looking to connect with a promising second-ranked talisman master and alchemist. What? Azure Phoenix Immortal venturing into the Myriad Beasts mountain range and returning severely injured. In an elegantly serene courtyard, Lu Chongqing was having tea and chatting with several Foundation establishment cultivators. One of the elders shared a piece of news, provoking surprise among the listeners. After all, this was about the Azure Phoenix Immortal, the master of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, Jiang Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator. Years ago, it had even been said that he single-handedly fought against 3 great demons and ultimately slew one of them, a remarkable feat. This matter is just a rumor, but the fact that Qinghuan Peak has sent people to prohibit such rumors only adds to the credibility of these rumors. This elder unconsciously lowered his voice. I had heard rumors long ago that Azure Phoenix Immortal was severely injured and had gone into closed-door cultivation, so this news might not necessarily be true. To see if this news is true or not, one only needs to watch the situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. If the public order there worsens, it would prove the rumor true. I recently visited Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and currently there is no evident change. If Azure Phoenix Immortal was really severely injured, there might be significant turmoil in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. The others nearby expressed their thoughts, their words quite sentimental. However, most people didn't pay much attention to this news. After all, Qingyun region was far from Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and only a very few family businesses reached there. So even if the leadership in Azure Phoenix Immortal City changed, it wouldn't greatly impact the family forces present here. After chatting for a while, as it was getting late, everyone dispersed. At that moment, Lu Chongqing sensed a dense surge of mana spontaneously flowing into his Qi ocean core, transforming into droplets of liquid mana. Is it Qingshan? Lu Chongqing immediately guessed that it was his son, Lu Qingshan, who had made a breakthrough to the 9th level of energy refinement. After all, aside from his son Lu Chuanjin, who had overtaken others on the strength of his uncle Chu Change's help, his son Lu Qingshan was currently far ahead. Name, Lu Qingshan, lifespan, 23 of 118, talent, 6th grade spiritual root, Gingjin body constitution, medium grade spirit body, cultivation level, 9th level energy refinement, talent, sword Dao compatibility, 84%, 23 years old and already at the 9th level of energy refinement, probably in another 3 to 5 years, hell breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng's face showed a hint of a smile, making a sound of approval. This kind of cultivation talent in his son, even if placed within the immortal sects, belonged to the top echelons. Also, his sword Dao talent has risen to 84%. Lu Chongqing looked at the talent display, pride glowing in his eyes. Originally, his son's sword Dao talent was decent but just passable, barely considered genius. But now, this level of sword Dao talent was undeniably genius. And it had been only just over 2 years. As time passed, his son's sword Dao talent would continue to improve, making him an unmatched genius in the path of the sword Dao. Now that the child has broken through to the late stage of energy refinement, the enhancement to my cultivation level is also considerably more noticeable. I wonder how much improvement it could bring me if Chuanjin or Qingshan breaks through to foundation establishment. Lu Chongqing looked at the liquid mana within his Qi ocean core. When his children had just begun cultivation, it was like only a few streams of air entering into Elixir Lake, unable to even form mana. But now that the child had advanced to the late stage of energy refinement, they could finally form a few drops of liquid mana. He greatly anticipated his children's breakthrough to foundation establishment. After all, living a leisurely and relaxed life in cultivation was impossible through his own harsh cultivation. But if he wanted rapid improvement in his cultivation level, he could only rely on his children striving hard. 9 days later. Qingyun sect. A huge plaza built from white jade. This place was filled with cultivators and Qingyun sect foundation establishment disciples who had come to offer congratulations. Only foundation establishment cultivators were entitled to a seat. Even Qingyun sect disciples, if they had not broken through to foundation establishment, could only watch from afar and could not participate. The sound of a bell ringing. At that moment, bell chimes echoed. In the plaza's ethereal space, above several green jade platforms, figures clad in Qingyun robes appeared. They were both male and female, ranging from young to old, from every age group. But each one emitted an unfathomable, deep and towering aura. The core formation ceremony officially begins. In the center of the platform, a cultivator in a Qingyun robe, with an imposing face, spoke out loud. Immediately, strains of celestial music played, and a rainbow bridge emerged in the air, looking like a rainbow, colorful, splendid, and utterly magnificent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 857, Core Formation Grand Ceremony, Twins Born. Following that, a stunningly beautiful figure slowly appeared on the Rainbow Bridge. She seemed to be about 25 or 26 years old with arched sword-like eyebrows, bright eyes like paintings, a proudly upturned nose, and an expression of cold detachment. Her ink-black long hair, tied simply in a high ponytail, seemed somewhat inappropriate for such a grand occasion. Tall and slender, with sharp, powerful shoulders, she was dressed in a modest yet luxurious blue cloud-patterned Daoist robe. On her snowy back, she carried a deep blue magical sword exuding faint chills, making her whole aura icy and aloof. In that instant, everyone's gaze in the venue turned toward this woman. Each gaze showed a mix of surprise, astonishment, admiration, respect, reverence, affection, and more. Everyone knew that this woman was the newly promoted nascent soul immortal of Qingyun's sect, true person Qingyi. Yet, apart from the disciples of Qingyun's sect, 90% of cultivators who came to congratulate her had never seen Chu Qingyi. Seeing her today, they were immediately struck with awe. It was unexpected that Fairy Qingyi, so young, had not only achieved core formation but also possessed such an exceptional celestial grace. I bow to true person Qingyi. Congratulations on your ascension to core formation. I bow to true person Qingyi. Congratulations on your ascension to core formation. I bow to true person Qingyi. Congratulations on your ascension to core formation. The crowd around dared not look too much and quickly bowed their heads and bent their bodies to give their congratulations, loudly. Lu Chongqing also bent down to salute. But subconsciously, he smelled his palm, remembering his first encounter with her. In response to everyone's congratulations, Chu Qingyi did not reciprocate but accepted them calmly. After all, as a nascent soul cultivator, she was indeed nobler than those at the Foundation establishment. The difference between them was essential to life. This difference was even greater than the gap between energy refining and Foundation establishment. An energy refining cultivator who breaks through to Foundation establishment could establish a family and become a patriarch. But if one breaks through to core formation, it would be a leap in life, enjoying a lifespan of 500 years, establishing sects, watching the world's changes, from thriving seas to desolate fields. If one establishes a family, they become a great clan. Soon after, Chu Qingyi walked from the Rainbow Bridge into the Grand Hall at the end of the square. Cultivators on the Dao platform also entered the hall. Those who could enter the hall were either true inheritors of Qingyun's sect, at least at false core formation true immortal, or were otherwise of extraordinary status. TSK, this is truly a grand ceremony. Lu Chongqing felt quite emotional as he viewed the scene unfolding before him. He remembered the Talisman Master ceremony held by the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain for him those years ago. Comparing the two, his ceremony was hardly fit to be called grand, calling it a small celebration would have been generous. When I break through to nascent soul someday, I can hold a grand ceremony, releasing the 9 Netherhound, the heavenly demon phoenix just for show, and even bring in some Dao soldiers for a parade. Lu Chongqing thought wishfully. It is said that wealth and honor do not return to one's hometown like walking in brocade at night. If I reach the pinnacle of the cultivation world without concerns, then I can really show off. But Foundation establishment, core formation and such, ensure everything is safe. However, Qingyun's sect is quite generous. The food, spirit fruits, spiritual wine, and spirit meals these days are quite rare. Lu Chongqing looked at the food and drinks on the table and picked up the chopsticks. At this point, many people started drinking and chatting, discussing true person Qingyi. I heard true person Qingyi is not yet 100 years old, simply astonishing. Not only that, I heard that true person Qingyi condensed a superior gold core. SSS, superior gold core, doesn't that mean she has the potential for nascent soul? Alas, I'm already 100 years old but still stuck in the initial stage of Foundation establishment, I wonder what kind of Tao companion true person Qingyi wants to find in the future. You should stop dreaming about such out-of-reach aspirations. Being able to break through to core formation at such a young age means she's wholly dedicated to cultivation. I heard true person Qingji's master, Kaiyun True Immortal, was the same, breaking through to core formation before 100 and now has an illustrious reputation. Both the master and disciple achieving core formation is indeed a good story. Sir the Oval Fire. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I heard that Kaiyun True Immortal has another disciple who, although still young, is also extraordinarily talented and has the potential for core formation. Many voiced their wishful admiration and envy. After all, for 90% of the people present, core formation was something they could only aspire to. The ceremony concluded after 3 days, and the guests dispersed. I have a few friends in Qingyun sect, just the right time to visit them. Lu Chongxing did not go back with Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and others. He planned to meet Xiao Shiyu and Zhao Qingqing. During these days, the guests were not allowed to wander freely, so he hadn't visited the two ladies. If that's the case, Lu Daoist, we will head back. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang, along with a few other elders, showed envy in their words. They had heard that Lu Chongxing was acquainted with Fairy Shiyu of Qingyun sect, and that he had formed a Tao companion with a foundation establishment disciple from Qingyun sect. Such relationships made them exceedingly envious. Uncle, fellow Taoists, take care, and feel free to visit Bihu Lake Mountain when you're free. Lu Chongxing was very polite. He always followed the principle of not offending others unless they offended him first. As long as the other party was respectful, he favored peaceful relations. After all, he had a family to consider, so maintaining these social relationships was necessary. He couldn't act like a loose cultivator, overly solitary. He took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and sent a message to Xiao Shiyu. Before long, clad in a moon-white dress, with an elegant and noble demeanor, Xiao Shiyu arrived. Chongxing. Xiao Shiyu's eyes revealed tenderness and warmth. Since they were still in Qingyun sect, they didn't immediately express their longing upon seeing each other. Additionally, Xiao Shiyu mentioned she had matters to attend to and would soon accompany her senior sister, Chu Qingyi, to the Luoyun mountain range. Going to the Luoyun mountain range. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 858, Core Formation Grand Ceremony, Twins Born. Lu Chongxing was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Xiao Xie to rush to the Luoyun mountain range again, and so urgently at that. Yes, not long ago, my master fought a mighty battle with a real person of the Wuxia sect, resulting in the revelation of a secret realm beneath the vein. Xiao Xie did not hide this and spoke directly. A secret realm appeared beneath the vein. Lu Chongxing heard this and was surprised. He had been very astonished when he first heard this news. What kind of vein requires a nascent soul immortal to personally oversee? Not only to oversee, but now 2 nascent soul immortals had fought, revealing a secret realm. According to some patterns in the cultivation world, the formation of this vein was very likely to be influenced by this secret realm. This meant that this secret realm was no simple matter. Shiyu, you must be careful on this trip. Here is a substitute talisman I've crafted. Lu Chongxing immediately took out a substitute talisman that he had cultured from his storage bag. He had previously given Xiao Xie ordinary 3rd rank lower grade talismans, but not these crafted substitute talismans. Yes, Chongxing, I understand. Xiao Xie felt warmth in her heart as she took the talisman from Lu Chongxing. After a brief conversation, she bid farewell to Lu Chongxing, asking him to take good care of their daughter Wang Shu, and said she would come to Bai Lake Mountain after she was done with her affairs. Sigh. After watching Xiao Xie leave, Lu Chongqing waited for a moment, letting the guilt in his heart slightly subside before he took out Zhao Qingqing's yin-yang sensing talisman. He had stayed in Zhao Qingqing's 100 Herbs garden for 3 days before leaving the Qingyun sect and returning to Bai Lake Mountain. Bai Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. My husband. Su Ruyan had already emerged from closed-door cultivation, successfully breaking through to Foundation establishment. After her breakthrough, she underwent no small change. Her clear eyes turned a fiery red, as intense as fire, like a burning red moon. Those crimson pupils, matched with her fire-red hair and naturally red lips, made her appear even more unapproachable, like a sacred and noble phoenix. However, upon getting closer, one couldn't help but want to extinguish this flame. Not bad. Lu Chongqing looked at the stunningly beautiful face in front of him, gazing into her eyes that shined like rubies. He knew that cultivating such a high-level cultivation technique would inevitably result in significant changes after a breakthrough. But he hadn't expected Su Ruyan's transformation to be so pronounced. Not only did her hair turn fire-red, but now her eyes had transformed into crimson pupils. Continuing this cultivation, she wouldn't grow animal ears and tails, right? He took Su Ruyan into Chongqing Hall, to thoroughly inspect the changes after her Foundation establishment breakthrough. To see if other places were also as fiery. Afterwards. This is a divine forbidding talisman. Once planted, you can return home. Lu Chongqing took out a well-cultured talisman and handed it to Su Ruyan. Although she had sworn an oath through her heart demon, promising not to reveal the situation of Bai Lake Mountain and Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, he had to be completely certain. Once the divine forbidding talisman was planted, if she disclosed information about Bai Lake Mountain to outsiders, it would explode, obliterating her soul. Thank you, my husband. Su Ruyan bit her lip gently, speaking softly. Knowing she still didn't have Lu Changsheng's full trust. She obediently dropped her essence blood on the divine forbidding talisman and actively planted it within herself. In an instant, the spirit talisman burned away, transforming into a speck of light, entering her forehead sea of consciousness, making her feel a pulsating power. This is a third-rank spirit talisman. Su Ruyan was astonished in her heart, knowing this was definitely not a second-rank spirit talisman. However, after witnessing the variety of techniques from Lu Chongqing, she wasn't surprised by the third-rank talisman. She simply regarded Lu Chongqing with even more reverence and fear, realizing that he could readily produce such third-rank talismans. Immediately after, Su Ruyan went to see her son, Lu Qinsha, and left Bai Lake Mountain for the Yushui Su family the next day. As for the ancient beast-taming charm, naturally, she couldn't take it with her. It remained with Lu Chongqing. After all, Lu Chongqing was at ease with letting Su Ruyan go. But if he let both Su Ruyan and Hong Lian go, he wouldn't feel at ease. Not to mention, his divine forbidding talisman might be effective on Su Ruyan but not necessarily on Hong Lian. Moreover, keeping the ancient beast-taming charm in his possession was also a shackle for Su Ruyan. Sir the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Half a year later. Bai Lake Mountain. Lu family mansion. Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge, and Lu Miaoyun waited outside the delivery room. After many years, Lu Chongqing once again felt a mix of anticipation and a little nervousness. Ling Zixiao had been pregnant for 13 months, and the twins in her womb were finally about to be born. He was both hopeful and anxious for these two children. Eager for their arrival and their spiritual root talent. After all, a 13-month pregnancy indicated that these children would definitely have exceptional talents. Like when Xiao Xie was pregnant with Lu Wangshu, it only took 11 months. But faced with this situation, he also feared a little. What if his daughter inherited Ling Zixiao's dragon roar physique? After all, the issues with the dragon roar physique were truly difficult to resolve. Even now, he hadn't managed to completely eradicate Ling Xixiu's dragon roar physique. Time passed, unmeasured. Suddenly, "Wah!" The crisp, resounding cries of two babies rang out. At the same time, at that moment, a powerful and mysterious sensation surged through his body. And then, a system prompt sounded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 859, Twin Spiritual Bodies, False Core Combat Power. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 4 spiritual body offspring, you get 1 lottery chance. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 5 spiritual body offspring, you get 1 lottery chance. Both these children have a spiritual body. Lu Chongqing was startled by the system prompt. Immediately, under the surge of a profound and mysterious thrill, he was enveloped by an indescribable sensation. Spiritual root. His spiritual root had advanced. It had ascended from 2nd grade to 1st grade. Are these two children's spiritual roots 1st grade, or Earth spirit root? At that moment, Lu Changsheng's heart was like a tempestuous sea, with waves rising high. He knew the twins' talents were likely to be extraordinary. But he hadn't expected such an immense surprise. S.E.A. The Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Not only did they both possess a spiritual body, but the enhancements to their spiritual roots had directly promoted his own from 2nd to 1st grade. Lu Chongqing quietly savored this profound experience. From the enhancements he received from his offspring's spiritual bodies, he vaguely felt something familiar. Dragon Roar origin. It was the very same dragon roar origin he once sensed and devoured from Ling Xixiu's body. Yet this origin source was still quite weak, and there seemed to be some indescribable changes. Lu Chongqing immediately realized that one of these two children carried the inheritance of Ling Xixiu's dragon roar physique. Who is it? Lu Chongqing was eager to find out whether it was his son or daughter who had inherited the dragon roar physique. However, just then, another system notification sounded. Detection: the host's current spiritual body is with flaw, and attributes overlap. Perform fusion. Spiritual body with flaw. Overlapping attributes. Fusion. Lu Chongqing was taken aback. What did this mean? In the next instant, a flow of information entered his mind, clarifying the matter. The twins born of Ling Xixiu both had the dragon roar physique. However, their dragon roar physiques were with flaw and neither was complete. Lu Chongqing was at a loss for words upon hearing this. The conditions of his two children today had indeed taken him, an experienced father, through an emotional roller coaster. Yet, he had heard of such cases before. There were rumors that some cultivators, although possessing superior spiritual roots and spiritual bodies, faced slow progression in cultivation due to either innate deficiencies or a constitution weak and ill, leading to a spiritual body with flaw, with only partial traits existing. But such was certainly not the case for his own children. During Ling Xixiu's pregnancy, not only did she have enough nutritious supplements, but she also took third-order spirit pills, specifically the spirit fusion pill. Moreover, Lu Miaoge would often use Tai True water to regulate Ling Xixiu's body and nurture the fetuses. It could be said that the two children had been winning from the start, even in the mother's womb. Additionally, according to the system's judgment, both children's spiritual bodies were clearly well-formed. Is it because they are twins? Lu Chongqing pondered in his heart, suspecting it might be due to them being twins. However, even with a with flaw dragon roar physique, it's probably not weaker than the typical spiritual body. Lu Chongqing was always contented with what he had and was quite satisfied with this situation. It was only the issue of his daughter inheriting the dragon roar physique that gave him a slight headache. He had worried about this prospect before, yet it had come to pass regardless. The dragon roar physique will only truly reveal itself upon reaching foundation establishment. When my child faces issues with the dragon roar physique, there will be at least 20 or 30 years. By then, solutions may not be out of reach. Lu Changsheng's frown eased slightly. Since the situation had already arisen, he was confident that he could resolve his daughter's condition in the future. Changsheng. At this moment, Lu Miaoge called out to Lu Changsheng, who was by her side. Good. Lu Changsheng hurriedly returned to his senses and walked into the delivery room with Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun. Inside the room, the two midwives were full of joy, bowing and saying, "Congratulations, my lord, you have a young master and a young miss." Thank you, thank you. You've worked hard." Lu Changsheng smiled and handed over the red packets he had prepared in advance. "Thank you, my lord, thank you," both exclaimed with grateful faces. Giving birth for cultivators was generally very smooth and without danger. Especially for a foundation establishment cultivator like Ling Zixiao. Their main purpose was to prevent accidents and to serve the couple. Lord. Ling Zixiao was cradling the pair of children, sitting weakly on the bed. Perhaps it was because she bore twins, or that both had exceptional talents that placed a large toll on the mother, leaving Ling Zixiao's complexion pale and frail. "Zixiao, you have worked hard." Lu Changsheng quickly sat down on the bed and spoke softly. Then, he looked at his son and daughter in her arms. Although the twins had extraordinary talents and both possessed the dragon roar physique, they did not present any spectacular congenital anomalies. They just seemed much cuter than the average babies, their skin rosy, translucent, and glowing, like two porcelain dolls. "They are so cute." Lu Miaoge also approached and said tenderly, looking at the two children. Subsequently, she circulated her mana, using the Tai True water to regulate Ling Zixiao's body. "My lord, this one is the brother, and this one is the sister." Ling Zixiao handed one child to Lu Changsheng. She had discussed with Lu Changsheng before that no matter who was born first, the boy would be the elder brother and the girl, the younger sister. On this matter, Lu Changsheng naturally deferred to her. "Emisham." Lu Changsheng looked over his son. He keenly noticed that deep in his son's pupils, there seemed to be a faint, almost imperceptible golden sheen. Is it because of the dragon roar physique? Lu Changsheng knew that even though the dragon roar physique was a latent spiritual body, it would gradually awaken with growth and cultivation. He then took his daughter in his arms for examination. His daughter's eyes were clear and pure, without the unusualness seen in his son. Although both children had with flaw dragon roar physiques, it wasn't to say that their dragon roar physiques were identical. Hence, Lu Changsheng wasn't certain whether it was a gender issue or a matter of the dragon roar physique itself. Lu Lingxiao, Lu Lingyi. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 860, Double Spiritual Body, False Core Combat Power. Lu Changsheng looked at the two infants who were curiously staring at him without crying or making noise, gently pinched their little faces, and checked their attribute panels through the system. Name, Lu Lingxiao, Lifespan, 1/90th, Talent, First Grade Spiritual Root, Dragon Roar Physique, Deficient, Cultivation Level, None, Talent, Array Formation Compatibility, 35%, Name, Lu Lingyi, Lifespan, 1/90th, Talent, First Grade Spiritual Root, Dragon Roar Physique, Deficient, Cultivation Level, None, Talent, Body Refining Compatibility, 59%, so they are both First Grade Spiritual Roots. No wonder, Lu Changsheng murmured to himself, looking at the talents of his children. He had thought there might be an Earth Spirit root among them because of the spiritual root enhancements. Unexpectedly, not only were their spiritual bodies the same, but their spiritual roots were the same as well. One can only say, it's truly befitting of twins. He then turned his attention to the talents of his children. His son's talent in array formations was decent, but not outstandingly high. However, for his daughter to have such a talent in body refinement from birth was rather astonishing. Could it be influenced by the dragon roar physique? Lu Chongqing pondered inwardly. The dragon roar physique indeed provided enhancements to body refinement. But logically, shouldn't this body refinement enhancement be present in his son, Lu Lingxiao? After all, the dragon roar physique was only useful for males, and for daughters, it would instead become a burden. Could it be that the body refining part of the dragon roar physique was inherited by Xiaohe, while the other aspects were inherited by Lingxiao? Lu Chongqing speculated in his mind, somewhat puzzled by the situation of his children's dragon roar physique. He could only await their growth, for the spiritual body to awaken and manifest with age. Perhaps because he had been pinching her little face for a while, the younger sister cried out in displeasure. Seeing this, the brother also started crying. Oh, don't cry, don't cry. Upon seeing this, Lu Chongqing immediately came back to his senses, laughed heartily, and soothed the children. He did not know whether it was the connection of blood, or his own charisma and affinity, but he was quite successful at comforting infants. That day, Lu Chongqing announced he would be hosting a family banquet to celebrate the birth of the two children. Sarch * the Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It was not because the children had extraordinary talents, but because Ling Zixiao was his, Lu Changsheng's, Dao companion, the mistress of Bihu Mountain. Now that they had given birth to offspring, it was fitting for the whole clan to celebrate, to show their importance. In response to this situation, Ling Zixiao was also very generous, directly declaring that she would give red envelopes and happiness money to all cultivators of Bihu Mountain. She had saved quite a bit in her earlier years. Now on Bihu Mountain, her stipend as an array master was the highest. And since she had not cultivated for many years due to the dragon roar physique and consequently had not spent spirit stones, she was very wealthy. However, this was also because Ling Zixiao had long been stationed on Bihu Mountain and never left. If she had been willing to set up formations for others with her array skills, it would have been quite the rolling wealth. Late at night, Lu Chongqing finally had some free time and went to his own cave mansion. System, integrate, he called to mind. He integrated the yet-to-be-enhanced spiritual bodies of his children. In an instant, he felt the dragon roar origin within him begin to stir and slowly grow. A rich and intense yang energy surged through his body. However, at this moment, the yin-yang energies that spiraled within his qi ocean core flew out, coursing through his limbs and bones. What's going on? Lu Chongqing was startled and slightly confused. Why did it seem that no matter what, his own yin-yang energies had to get involved? But in the next moment, he understood what was happening. Because the dragon roar origin was among the yin-yang energies. The dragon roar origin he had wrenched from Ling Zixiao's body had all merged into the yin-yang energies. Now, with the help of the system, as he integrated the deficient dragon roar physique of both of his children, the yin-yang energies were affected. Moreover, this yin-yang energies in his body were always yin-dominant and yang-deficient. It was only barely maintaining balance with the help of its spirit-nurturing energy. But now, possessing the dragon roar physique, a top-tier yang constitution, it began to affect his origin source, starting to remedy the imbalance within the Tao Foundation origin source. Is this the effect of a top-tier physique? Lu Changsheng's face showed surprise and delight. Although the blood talisman spiritual body and flawless heavenly fragrance body he previously obtained weren't bad, they had not provided any significant boost to his cultivation. But this dragon roar physique was giving him clear benefits at that very moment. Roar, roar, roar. As the two deficient spiritual bodies merged, Lu Chongqing could clearly feel his body's qi and blood surging like an erupting volcano, billowing tumultuously, resembling a great solar furnace, as the yin-yang energies gradually came into balance. He didn't know how much time had passed. The yin-yang energies, like a solid yin-yang fish, returned and gently swam around the side of the five elements Tao foundation. In an instant, the Tao platform, resembling a five elements jade disc, trembled lightly, with strands of lustrous light flowing around, mysterious and magnificent. Hoo! At that moment, the elixir lake, like a deep seven-colored pool, began to stir, forming a vortex, siphoning the surrounding nature's spiritual energy. Breakthrough. At this moment, his seven luminaries' great freedom sword scripture began to operate on its own, desiring to break through. What? Lu Chongqing was first shocked, then showed a face full of surprise. Immediately he sat cross-legged, taking out all the collected high-quality spirit stones. Then he took out vial after vial. His current mana, which had not reached the limit of 700 drops of liquid state, started to break through directly under the influence of the dragon roar physique and the transformation of the Tao Foundation. This was similar to the situation when Lu Miaoge underwent Heavenly Foundation establishment back in the day. He naturally wanted to seize the opportunity and break through the realm in one fell swoop. Mount Sumeru. Lu Chongqing continued calling out Mount Sumeru, letting it provide its Mount Sumeru cave heaven's spiritual energy in full force to his cave mansion. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 861, Double Spiritual Body, False Core Combat Power. This is also one of the advantages of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Ordinary spirit vein cave mansions, once depleted of spiritual energy, can be very troublesome, only able to constantly siphon the surrounding spiritual energy. But Mount Sumeru can actively transport the spiritual energy within the cave heaven, and even help siphon the spiritual energy from by Lake Mountain. Yes, Master. Mount Sumeru immediately responded, mobilizing the spiritual energy within the cave heaven. Splash! Lu Chongqing sat quietly in meditation, consuming 3 elixir medicines and holding 2 superior-grade spirit stones. Within the qi ocean core of his dantian, liquid mana surged violently, forming whirlpools that devoured countless nature's spiritual energy and compressed and condensed it into liquid mana. Drip. 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 Droplets of iridescent 7-colored liquid mana entered the elixir lake. It was hard to tell how much time had passed when the liquid mana in the elixir lake reached its limit and roared thunderously. The yin-yang 5 elements foundation base glowed radiantly at this moment, circulating yin and yang and the 5 elements, assaulting the realm and continuously expanding the qi ocean core. The mana in the elixir lake revolved around the Tao foundation during this process, continuously condensing and faintly forming a spherical shape. Once his cultivation level reached the peak of foundation establishment, achieving perfection, he would attempt to condense mana into true essence, ready to break through to core formation. Boom! Lu Changsheng's realm shattered like water flowing into a channel. From the middle stage of foundation establishment to the late stage, for many, is a chasm, an insurmountable gap. SEA the Novel Fire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Some might never break through in their lifetime. But now, before Lu Chongqing, there were absolutely no bottlenecks hindering him, as natural as eating or drinking. With the breakthrough, the Tao Foundation burst forth with radiant light, and the mana surged like mighty rivers, washing over his meridians and flesh. Every realm breakthrough also slightly elevated a cultivator's physical body. Although not comparable to body-refining cultivators of the same order, it was still extraordinary. Due to his body cultivation, this baptism had little effect on Lu Chongqing. But during this process, his meridians and dantian became more condensed and resilient. Late stage of foundation establishment. A hint of joy appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. I've finally broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. Advancing to the late stage of foundation establishment brought him one step closer to achieving core formation. He directed his divine sense towards the profound origin bead within his qi ocean core. At this moment, the profound origin bead was furiously inhaling and exhaling spiritual energy and mana, constantly rotating and emitting seven-colored twilight. This profound origin bead could make the energy refinement late stage comparable to foundation establishment, and the foundation establishment late stage comparable to false core. Now, as Lu Chongqing broke through to the late stage of foundation establishment, the effects of this profound origin bead finally reached their apex. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After a long while, the profound origin bead calmed. Only a faint seven-colored radiance flowed over it, exuding a sacred and profound aura. Is this the mana of false core level? If not using talisman formation or other methods, merely fighting normally, I'm afraid it would take 3 moves for me to subdue my past self. Lu Chongqing felt the mana flowing through his body, quietly savoring the indescribable delight of power permeating his body. Not only his mana but his physical body and the 100 refinements treasure body art at this moment had also reached the 7th layer's peak. It wouldn't be long before he could break through to the 8th level, reaching the quasi-3rd order. I wonder how my current strength compares to a true false core immortal. Lu Chongqing pondered in his heart. Although the profound origin bead could make the late stage of foundation establishment comparable to false core, in reality, he had yet to confront a false core. Mount Sumeru. With a thought, he called out to Mount Sumeru, commanding it to pull him into the illusionary realm of Mount Sumeru. Since he wasn't sure, he might as well use Mount Sumeru to test it. The next moment, dressed in a blue magical robe that rustled without wind, he appeared in a murky realm of grey mists in the Mount Sumeru illusion. Buzz! Lu Chongqing looked ahead at the rolling fog, lightly lifted his palm, fingers joined together, and a fiercely sharp 7-colored sword chi burst forth. Whoosh! Layer upon layer of grey mist was pierced. Afterward, Lu Chongqing patted his storage bag, and the true Yang 5-element sword appeared in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! The brilliance of the 5-element sword burst forth, tearing through the void and whipping up a storm of sword chi, stirring the surrounding grey mist. This true Yang 5-element sword is just a middle-grade spiritual artifact, it's completely insufficient now. With my current strength, I am fully capable of wielding magical treasures. Lu Chongqing looked at the true Yang 5-element sword in his hand and shook his head disapprovingly, finding it dull. This spiritual artifact could not support him when he went all out. Then, an ancient lamp, circulating like 7 stars, appeared above his head. It was his life-bound spiritual artifact, the 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp. This 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp also needs resources to be recast, otherwise, nurturing it slowly like this will clearly not keep up. Lu Chongqing looked at his life-bound spiritual artifact and exhaled deeply. This 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp, nurtured by him over the years, was just barely a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Now it was also unable to keep up with his pace. At this moment, Lu Chongqing realized that he had always been benevolent and never sought conflict, yet now, he found himself without a single handy magical treasure. If he were to face a false core immortal, he would suffer from not having a magical treasure. I wonder if I can activate a superior quality magical treasure. Lu Chongqing thought of the superior grade magical robe he was wearing. In theory, as a superior quality magical treasure, the fate-defying robe wasn't something he should be able to activate at his level. But there was no harm in trying. Immediately, he urged the mana in his dantian, madly infusing it into the fate-defying robe. Suddenly, the prohibitions within the robe started to flicker. But that was it. No matter how much more mana he expended, he could not fully activate the might of this robe. He could only barely make use of a few of the robe's teleportation prohibition effects, unable to achieve invisibility in the void. He would have to wait until he reached core formation to fully unleash this robe's potential. A superior quality magical treasure is still too much of a stretch. Using such a magical treasure is more loss than gain. With my strength, I can at most handle a lower grade magical treasure. However, I can start preparing to forge the 7 Luminary Star Sword from the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Even if it doesn't become a magical treasure, just 7 magical treasure embryos would still be tremendously powerful. Lu Changsheng's eyes slightly narrowed, thinking of the accompanying magical treasure from the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, the 7 luminary star sword. With this set of flying swords once completed, he could set up a simplified 7 luminary sword formation, significantly increasing his combat strength. However, 7 magical treasures flying swords would be enormously expensive. Many materials couldn't be bought in the market and had to be acquired through various channels, trading items for items. Although he was quite wealthy, comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, forging these 7 magical treasure embryos was still a difficult burden to bear. Forget it, I've always been kind and don't like conflicts, there's no rush to forge these 7 luminary star swords, I can slowly gather the materials. Lu Changxing shook his head, dismissing the idea of forging this set of magical treasure embryos now. After all, if he really had to face an enemy now, he still had talisman formations, 9 treasures Rui Bone, Endless Guileful Head, and the Dark Demon Corpse. These were enough for him to face an average nascent soul cultivator. Immediately afterward, he willed Mount Sumeru to send him back to his cave mansion. He inquired about how his attack power compared to Xiahou Wuo before. Mount Sumeru immediately indicated that his sword chi power just now was still much weaker than Xiahou Wuo, but within a range where they could contend. In that case, I suppose I do have the normal false core strength. Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, inwardly thought. Originally, Xiahou Wuo in the Mount Sumeru illusion had used a life-bound magic treasure to attack, while he had only used a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Given a magical treasure, of course, he would be considered at normal false core strength. But, I still have 2 more draws, who knows, maybe he'll get something good. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. Although both his children were spiritual bodies with flaws. In the system's judgment, both were spiritual bodies, so he obtained 2 draws. This also confirmed for Lu Changxing that as long as he had a child born as a spiritual body, he would have a draw opportunity. System, draw. Lu Changxing spoke aloud. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 862, Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining a 3rd rank Evil X Banisher Elixir. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. An elixir medicine pattern immediately emerged from the Great Roulette, accompanied by a system notification sound. Evil X Banisher Elixir. Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow and looked towards the system space. Immediately, information about the Evil X Banisher Elixir appeared. Search * the novel, F. Higher. In website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Elixir Medicine, Evil X Banisher Elixir, Quality, 3rd rank, Description. The Evil X Banisher Elixir can break goo poison, seals, curses, prohibitions, and other divine skill effects. Lu Changxing looked at the effects of the Evil X Banisher Elixir in front of him, his brow slightly furrowed. Although this effect is alright and could solve some unexpected situations, currently, it was of little use to him and would only collect dust. Right now, with so many elixir medicines, only the Spirit Pill, Purple Mansion Elixir, and the Coagulation Crystal Elixir are somewhat useful. Lu Changxing gently shook his head and looked at the system to continue. Draw the lottery. The system's Great Roulette in front of him began to spin again. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining a 3rd rank Origin Flame Seed, Thunder Ganyan. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A 3rd rank Origin Flame Seed. Is this Heavenly Spiritual Fire? Lu Changxing looked at the reward and a trace of surprise showed on his face. The world is filled with many spiritual fires. Once cultivators obtain the origin flame seed of these spiritual fires, they can claim them for their own. These spiritual fires have immense applications. Not only are they incredibly powerful and can be used for fighting techniques, but they are also invaluable to alchemists and artifact refiners. For example, a lot of second-rank elixir medicines, without an alchemy chamber or earth core fire, Lu Changxing couldn't possibly refine them. Because the flames he condensed with his mana were insufficient to support him for long periods of alchemy, and the temperature was not high enough. But if he had a type of heavenly spiritual fire, he wouldn't need to rely on earth core fire. Moreover, according to the records and books, using such heavenly spiritual fires for alchemy and artifact refining would not only increase the success rate but also significantly improve the quality of the elixir medicines and magic artifacts produced. Thunder Gangyan, a third-rank flame seed, seems to be quite an impressive heavenly spiritual fire. Lu Changxing looked towards the system space. Instantly, information about Thunder Gangyan appeared. Flame seed, Thunder Gangyan, quality, 3rd rank, description, an intense flame from the heart of a volcanic magma, after enduring countless thunder tribulations and fusions, develops a hint of spirituality, with a wild and dominant attribute. Thunder Gangyan, with a wild and dominant attribute. Seems like this type of spiritual fire is more suitable for refining artifacts rather than alchemy. Lu Changxing, with an eyebrow raised, looked at the Thunder Gangyan before him. As a second-tier top-level alchemist, he had some understanding of flames, knowing that for alchemy, one would mostly use flames of a gentler nature. Only a small number of elixir medicines would require such wildly dominant flames. However, at least it's a third-rank heavenly spiritual fire, even if not for alchemy, it's a good option to have on hand. A smile appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. He did not immediately extract and refine the heavenly spiritual fire. This trip was simply a chance to take a break and draw a lottery. He had just broken through and had been delayed for quite some time. Now, it was natural to accompany his wives and concubines first. At the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. What did you say? Spirit stone veins were found deep within the mine near Bihu Lake Mountain in Black Cloud Mountain Range. The Zhao family ancestor showed a look of surprise upon hearing the report from the Zhao family patriarch. When Bihu Lake Mountain was first established, Lu Changxing sold many properties and veins under his name or cooperated with other families. As a neighboring foundation establishment family, their White Tiger Mountain Zhao family took over a vein at the mine. Unexpectedly, beneath that vein, a spirit stone mine was discovered. This, yes, ancestor, I went to verify it. This spirit stone mine is not small. It contains middle-grade spirit stones and can be mined for at least 50 to 60,000 pieces. The Zhao family patriarch spoke with joy in his voice. 50 to 60,000 spirit stones were not a small number for their Zhao family. 50 to 60,000. The Zhao family ancestors' eyes narrowed sharply upon hearing this. This was not a small number indeed. And that was just an initial estimate. He asked gravely, does the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain know about this? These past 10 years, the Lu family has only taken care of distributing profits without inquiring into matters. It was only since last year that a little girl would come to oversee and check. The Zhao family patriarch shook his head and said, so the Lu family still doesn't know about this spirit stone mine. The Lu family doesn't know yet. The Zhao family ancestor's face showed a thoughtful look as he said, if we were to hide this, how long could we keep it a secret? He naturally didn't want to give this spirit stone mine to the Lu family. Once informed, their Zhao family would only get a sip of the soup, at best. Ancestor, if the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain finds out, our family may face big trouble, the Zhao family patriarch said, showing a worried and fearful expression. Although the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain had only been established for just over a decade, its founder, Lu Changxing, was renowned and formidable. Just into his foundation establishment, he relied on talisman formations to slay 3 foundation establishment cultivators of the Yu family, thus establishing the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain. Later, with his wife Lu Miaoga, they killed 5 Foundation establishment cultivators in the Red Leaf Valley market. The family also had an array master in residence. Such strength and battle records, even if exaggerated and relying on external items, were undoubtedly impressive. They were not something their Zhao family could compare to. I am well aware, which is why I am asking you how long we can keep this a secret. The Zhao family ancestor looked at his kin's fearful face with a touch of disappointment, knowing that cultivation was a struggle for the great Tao. Now that such an enormous opportunity had presented itself, his descendants were showing fear at the mere name of the other party, which was very disappointing. We can conceal it for some time at present, but once we start mining in full force, at most half a year from now, they will undoubtedly notice something amiss. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 863, Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Moreover, I have already investigated. This girl is not just putting on a show or going through the motions, she checks thoroughly every time. The Zhao family patriarch thus spoke. What is this girl's name, and is there a way to bribe her? The Zhao family ancestor continued to inquire. This woman is named Lu Rui and is the daughter of Lu Changsheng's concubine. The Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain is famously generous toward the family's disciples. It may not be easy to bribe this woman. A serious expression appeared on the Zhao family patriarch's face. Lu Rui. The Zhao family ancestor heard the name but did not remember anything particular about it. Being the Zhao family ancestor, he was familiar with the situation at Blue Lake Mountain. However, Lu Chongqing had too many children to keep track of them all. He mainly remembered that the Lu family once had 2 4th-grade spiritual root talents, named Lu Qingxian and Lu Wangshu. Then, the person in charge of the Lu family's puppet factory seemed to be Lu Xianji. If this woman is not yet married, send someone to test the waters and make contact with her. If it seems feasible, go to Blue Lake Mountain to propose a marriage and see if we can tie her to our Zhao family. The Zhao family ancestor spoke gravely. Their family had suffered heavy losses in the battle at Blackwater Pool years ago. Not only had a Foundation establishment ancestor died, but several Foundation establishment seeds as well. Over the years, he vigorously supported and nurtured new blood, and gradually the family situation improved. However, this also caused the family to be caught in a financial crunch. If they could develop this spirit stone mine, it would not only relieve the family situation but also provide the finances to cultivate new Foundation establishment cultivators. Blue Lake Mountain. Lu family mansion. Dad, these are our family's immortal seedlings from the Xian generation this year. Lu Qingsong had gone to Rui Prefecture for the spirit root testing ceremony and brought back the Lu family's disciples who possessed spiritual roots to Blue Lake Mountain. Greetings, grandfather. The 2 from the Lu family's Xian generation greeted Lu Chongqing with respect. Their eyes were somewhat curious as they sized up the grandfather before them. They had heard from their parents that their own grandfather was an immortal, and now they could also undertake cultivation. What are your names? Lu Chongqing asked the 2 children softly. I am Lu Xianchan, and I am Lu Xuanyu. The 2 children crisply responded. Xianchan, Xuanyu. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, asked a few simple questions, and then had his son, Lu Yun, settle the 2 children. As time passed, now and then an immortal seedling would appear among the worldly descendants of the Lu family. This year, producing 2 was considered quite good. After all, the total number of the Lu family's 3rd generation had reached 197, almost equal to the number of his children. But among these 193 children, only 13 were spiritual root children. Moreover, 9 out of these 13 were from Blue Lake Mountain, born to Lu Yun, Lu Xianji, and others. One can only say that with both parents being mortals, birthing a spiritual root is extremely difficult. They could only rely on the large numbers to luck out a few. A month later, Lu Chongqing, recalling the Thunder Gangyan in his system space, expressed that he sensed something and was ready to enter closed-door cultivation for a period. Naturally, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and others had no objections. After all, this is the daily routine of most cultivators. Like Lu Miaoge, who often entered closed-door cultivation, sometimes staying in his cave mansion for 10 days or half a month. For Lu Chongqing, spending most of his days leisurely and accompanying his wives and children was really an anomaly among cultivators. Extract. In the Chongqing Hall, inside his cave mansion, Lu Chongqing looked at the system space and silently uttered a command. Immediately, a palm-sized purple-red flame appeared in mid-air, exuding an intense heat. As it burned and tumbled, it seemed as though a purple thunder snake was moving through the flame, wildly and terrifyingly, causing significant distortions in the space around the flame. Deserving of a third-rank heavenly spiritual fire, truly terrifying like this. Lu Chongqing slightly stepped back, marveling at the Thunder Gangyan before him. From the system's information on the Thunder Gangyan, he knew that if he could refine this Thunder Gangyan, his combat power would increase by a level, giving him an additional method. However, such a heavenly spiritual fire that had developed a sentience was not easy to refine and subdue. It's good that I have an edge. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. Next, he took out a magical sword artifact and forcefully slashed his palm, causing blood to flow and cover his hand. Come on, little guy. Lu Chongqing's mana flowed, enveloping his hand as he slowly extended it into the Thunder Gangyan. Even though the Thunder Gangyan had a sentient consciousness and no intention to harm him, just the innate power of the flame made his palm burn and sting, as if his skin was against a red-hot iron. Damn! If it weren't for my breakthrough to the late stage of Foundation establishment, possessing the profound origin bead, and having mana comparable to a false core, even with the system's help, it would be impossible to refine such a third-rank flame. Lu Chongqing felt the scorching pain in his palm and sharply inhaled. If it weren't for the system's information about the Thunder Gangyan giving him confidence and knowing he could refine it, he would definitely have given up. The Thunder Gangyan, sensing Lu Chongqing's pain, the purple snake within started to draw his fresh blood. As it absorbed the blood, the burning flame gradually diminished until it condensed into a thumb-sized purple-red origin flame seed. This was the origin flame seed of the Thunder Gangyan. From the information in the system, Lu Chongqing knew that when the Thunder Gangyan initially formed, it was nearly the size of half a mountain. Only through continuous condensation did it gradually take this shape. Only then could it truly be called a heavenly spiritual fire. The real test of skill has arrived. Search * the novel Fire. Any website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing looked at the thumb-sized flame seed in his hand, his eyelids twitching. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 864, Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Next, he needed to swallow the seed of fire and then refine and assimilate it with his mana. This was the most dangerous step in refining heavenly spiritual fire. Whether they were energy-refining cultivators, Foundation establishment cultivators, or nascent soul immortals, the internal parts of the body were always the most fragile. Especially the meridians and dantian. If something went wrong, at best, cultivation could be half ruined, at worst, one could die. Thus, refining heavenly spiritual fire was very dangerous. Most alchemists and artifact refiners in the world would choose to cultivate some sort of innate true fire technique and divine skills. Only a very few dared to refine heavenly spiritual fire. Yet before refining, they would prepare various heavenly and earthly treasures to minimize risks. Or, being nascent soul immortals, they would choose to refine second-rank heavenly spiritual fire and then gradually nurture it. Someone like Lu Chongqing, who prepared nothing and even dared to refine heavenly spiritual fire of a higher rank than his own, was truly one of a kind. Anyone who saw this would exclaim, "Aren't you seeking death? If not for this control talisman, this thing would really be creepy, practically playing with life." Lu Chongqing looked at the seed of fire and clicked his tongue in emotion. He took out several ice attribute talismans and healing talismans from his storage ring, along with 1 or 2 bottles of elixir medicines. Then, his mana spread throughout his body, and he raised his palm and tossed the seed of fire into his mouth. Though Mr. Lu cherished his life and disliked suffering, he was willing to endure some minor hardships for a great reward. After all, not being able to endure hardships and not liking to endure hardships were 2 different things. Once the seed of fire entered his mouth, Lu Chongqing immediately closed his lips tightly, grunted, and his face turned slightly pale. He bore the intense burning heat inside his body, closed his eyes, sat cross-legged, and his divine sense sank into his body. One could see that once Thunder Gangyan entered his body, it immediately dispersed into strands of fine purple-red flames circulating through his meridians. Even though these flames were extremely fine, like strands of hair, they carried intense heat and seemed as though they were going to burn and melt his flesh and muscles. Puff puff puff, the mana covering Lu Changsheng's body was constantly being consumed. He immediately took the prepared elixir medicines and talismans, allowing a cold stream to surge throughout his body to suppress the scorching heat. Then, he began to refine the seed of fire with the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture and the 100 refinements treasure body art in operation. As his cultivation techniques operated, the Thunder Gangyan was very cooperative. This was also the confidence he had to dare refine the seed of fire. Otherwise, during this process, if the seed's inherent consciousness began to fiercely resist, causing the flames to become more furious and the fire to blaze, it would be extremely dangerous. Hum hum hum, at this moment, it seemed as if a dragon's roar sounded within Lu Chongqing. His dragon roar physique instinctively awakened, unleashing a fierce and domineering yang energy that swept out, rushing towards the Thunder Gangyan, aiming to suppress the source of the seed and aid in its refinement. The dragon roar physique has such an effect. Lu Chongqing looked surprised. Although he vaguely knew about the dragon roar physique, he was unaware of the specific powers and effects of this spiritual body. Unexpectedly, the dragon roar physique could actually help him refine heavenly spiritual fire. Could it be because both dragon roar physique and Thunder Gangyan possess dominating attributes of extreme yang? The novel, F. Higher. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing guessed in his heart. At this moment, he personally experienced the effects of having a top-level spiritual body. No wonder many top-tier techniques, treasures, and spiritual beasts, which ordinary cultivators found difficult to subdue, were easily subdued by geniuses. Because with good talent, facing these things was supposed to be much simpler and easier. Without much thought, Lu Chongqing calmly refined the origin of this flame seed. With the active cooperation of the Thunder Gangyan and the help of the Dragon Roar physique, the refinement process became much smoother instantly. During this process, Lu Chongqing realized that the Dragon Roar of Yang energy was continuously merging into the Thunder Gangyan in his body. Accompanied by the Thunder Gangyan circulating through his meridians, it gradually fused with his physical body, meridians, and mana. This process was very mystical, causing some inexplicable changes to the Thunder Gangyan. Just like this, time passed little by little. He didn't know how much time had passed. The thumb-sized flame seed fused all the diffused purple-red flames and reformed into a small flame. Lu Chongqing had initially refined this flame seed and could roughly control this cluster of Thunder Gangyan. But he still needed to be careful in controlling it, otherwise, a careless mistake could injure himself. He did not stop and continued refining the Thunder Gangyan, preparing to refine it all at once. As the dragon roar of yang energy and thunder gangyan kept merging, the origin of the flame transformed into a purple-golden thunder dragon, possessing a more divine and domineering aura. This made the flames circulate and wander through his meridians repeatedly, gradually tempering his meridians and bones, accelerating the operation of his 100 refinements treasure body art at this moment. He didn't know how much time had passed when Lu Chongqing completely refined the thunder gangyan. Boom boom boom, at this moment, his physical body radiated brilliant light, emitting a terrifying pressure of blood and qi, with countless purple-red flames rolling out from his body, very terrifying. Thunder gangyan. Unexpectedly, the thunder gangyan is such a perfect match with the dragon roar physique, and a perfect match for me. Now this thunder gangyan can be called thunder gang dragon flame. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, and within his ink-black pupils, 2 clusters of purple-golden flames rose and diffused, looking fierce and domineering. The diffuse purple-red flames in the cave mansion, under his control, transformed into a purple-red flood dragon, akin to a snake and dragon intertwined, coiling around his body and exuding a scorching and terrifying aura. Normally refining this thunder gangyan would never result in such power. But this thunder gangyan matched extremely well with the dragon roar physique. With a determined effort, he transformed this thunder gangyan into his personal spiritual fire. Now he not only perfectly controlled the thunder gangyan, but also slightly enhanced its power. Not only that, under the effect of the thunder gangyan and the dragon roar physique, my 100 refinements treasure body art also directly broke through to the 8th level, and my body refining reached the quasi-3rd order level. Now, if I engage in close combat, relying on this thunder gang dragon flame, false core cultivators stand no chance against me. Lu Chongqing stretched his body, immediately causing crisp crackling sounds all over, while the surrounding flames gradually disappeared. Although he refined the thunder gangyan into his personal spiritual fire, it still consumed mana. To break through, I still need to rely on drawing lots and spiritual bodies. I wonder what other effects the flawless heavenly fragrance body has besides extending life, bewitchment, and speeding up cultivation. As another top-level spiritual body, the effect of the dragon roar physique is so astonishing, the flawless heavenly fragrance body should not be any less impressive. Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply, returning to his normal state, murmuring to himself. He thought about whether he could get more of this extremely young and rigid heavenly spiritual fire in the future, to set one up for his son, Lu Lingxiao, as well. After all, as his father, he had already tested it, and the dragon roar physique was really useful, matching perfectly with the heavenly spiritual fire. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 865, The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. Lu Chongqing walked out of his cave mansion feeling refreshed and realized he had been in closed-door cultivation for nearly 2 months. He took the ancient beast taming charm from Ling Zixio's hand, and the voice of Hong Lian echoed in his mind, bringing him news. The 9 Netherhound has advanced to the 2nd order. A look of joy appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. Although he no longer considered 2nd order strength as something significant, the wish to fly on the back of the 9 Netherhound had long since been shattered. But it was still 2nd order strength after all. An extra Foundation establishment spiritual pet to guard the home. Yes, young master. Inside the ancient beast taming charm, Hong Lian's voice sounded. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing walked out of Chongqing Hall and had her release the advanced 9 Netherhound from the ancient beast taming charm. Source, web novel. Updated on N0New0. The ancient beast taming charm shimmered with colorful lights, and a shadowy light burst forth. It was indeed the 9 Netherhound. The 9 Netherhound's body was now enormous, standing about 3 meters tall. With a head like a wolf's, ferocious and terrifying, with vertical scarlet pupils between its brows, interlocking sharp fangs that were chillingly cold and intimidating beyond measure. Its body was covered in dense, dark hair, but if one were to comb through the hair, they could see a layer of glossy, black, scales, hard and cold. Not bad, not bad. As Lu Chongqing sized up the 9 netherhound before him, he stepped forward to stroke its fur, smiling. The dog before his eyes had been his first pet beast, who had accompanied him for so long. There were quite a few emotions there. Come, let me see just how strong you are. Lu Chongqing gestured to the 9 netherhound before him with a curl of his finger, signaling it to make a move against him and test its power. A whoa! The 9 netherhound howled towards the sky, its body surging with demonic power, creating a fierce wind. This was not just a mere roar. It was a sonic attack, carrying a terrifying and ferocious force. Ordinary energy-refining cultivators, or even demon beasts, would be shaken to their core at such a roar, bleeding from all orifices and trembling with fear. Continue. Lu Chongqing nodded, signaling the 9 netherhound to keep going. The 9 netherhound immediately turned into a blur, pouncing towards Lu Chongqing with claws like daggers glinting with a cold light. Bang! Faced with such an onslaught, Lu Chongqing remained calm and still, raising his hand to meet it head-on. It's about at the middle stage of the second order in body refinement. He commented aloud. For a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast like the 9 netherhound, even just having broken through to the second order, it already possessed strength surpassing that of an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. Roar! From between the crisscrossed fangs of the 9 netherhound, black ripples pulsed, giving its teeth an unstoppable cold gleam. This was its strongest attack, capable of damaging even spiritual artifacts. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing looked at the sharp fangs, his mouth twitching, and decided against experiencing a dog bite. He flicked his finger and sent a blade of sword chi towards the 9 netherhound. In an instant, the 9 netherhound's fur bristled like pine needles, exuding a dark luster that deflected 30% of the sword chi's strength. Then, like black metallic scales, it resisted and dissolved the sword chi, with only a few strands of fur drifting down. Very good. Lu Chongqing nodded in satisfaction. He was very pleased with the 9 netherhound's strength, high attack power, high defense, and strong vitality. If it could advance further and awaken its bloodline's supernatural powers, its strength would leap to another level. But seeing such demon beast strength, he couldn't help but think of Azure Phoenix Immortal's feat of fighting the 3 demon kings alone. Rumor had it that these 3 demon kings all possessed heavenly-grade bloodlines, with astonishing battle prowess. In comparison, this Azure Phoenix Immortal was indeed quite impressive. Even if the so-called solo combat included riding a third-order mount and bringing 500 Dao soldiers, his combat strength was unquestionable. Having been in the ancient beast taming charm for so long, let's let you out for a while. Lu Chongqing looked at the 9 netherhound before him and pondered aloud. Even though his family had the Mount Sumra Tree King as its defender, it was not practical to activate the Great Formation and rely on Mount Sumra for every situation that arose. Therefore, it made sense to let the 9 netherhound preside over the home openly. Next, Lu Chongqing informed Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge about the 9 netherhound's advancement to the second order. After consulting, the 3 decided the 9 netherhound would become the clan guardian spirit beast of Bihu Mountain, with the current family head of the Lu family taking care of and managing it. In this way, when the family faced some issues, the family head would also have the capacity to solve and deal with them. There was no need to notify Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge, or Ling Zixiao about everything. Then, Lu Chongqing called Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun over to inform them about the 9 netherhound. Xiao He has grown so big. Xiao He has advanced to a second-order monster beast. Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao were all right, as they were aware of many aspects of Lu Changsheng's situation. Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun, however, were quite surprised to see the second-order 9 netherhound before them. After all, a second-order demon beast was equivalent to a foundation-building great cultivator. Even though Bihu Mountain now boasted Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and Bai Ling, for foundation establishment cultivators, the addition of a second-order demon beast was still astonishing. Especially since this second-order demon beast had once been an ordinary household dog in Qingzhou Mountain, playing with the children as a companion. Now to see the pet from those days advance to the second order was quite a surreal experience for them. Not even a match for a dog, Lu Yun had vague memories of the Nine Netherhound, having played with it as a child. Later on, as he grew older, his father had sent the Nine Netherhound to the mundane world as a guard dog, and he hadn't seen it since. He never imagined that, after so many years, he had only broken through to the 6th level of energy refinement, while the once big black dog had become a second-order spiritual beast. "Father, I will surely take good care of Xiao He," Lu Yun immediately said respectfully. Xiao He is its nickname, its big name is Jiuyou. Lu Chongqing felt constantly calling it Xiao He really lowered the prestige of the Nine Netherhound. After all, it was a heaven-ranked demon beast and now the openly recognized clan guardian spirit beast of his Lu family. Jiuyou, good. Lu Yun nodded in agreement. He also felt the name Xiao He was too commonplace. "Why, Xiao He, you like this name? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 866, The Nine Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. At this moment, Lu Chongqing watched his daughter Lu Lingyi stare intently at the Nine Netherhound in Lu Maiage's arms and laughed. "Ya," Lu Lingyi babbled. Although Lu Chongqing didn't understand baby talk, he still pinched her fair little cheek and said, "When you grow up, Daddy will give you one." According to the current lottery, the pets he acquired were basically cubs. But he most likely wouldn't need these cubs himself. Since that was the case, they could become pets for his children. In the future, every prodigy of the Lu family would have a heaven-ranked spiritual pet as standard. "Lingyi, thank your daddy." Holding her son, Ling Zixiao smiled softly and said to her daughter. Although she didn't know where these top-tier demon beast cubs were coming from, having one grow alongside her children would greatly help their future cultivation. Ya, Lu Lingyi chattered on. Although she was only a few months old, it was evident that this daughter was much more lively than her brother Lu Lingxiao. This reminded Lu Chongqing of his son Lu Qingshan and his daughter Lu Qingzhu in the past. One was lively and the other was quiet. Dawn broke with a pale light and clear skies. Screech! A black-winged golden-beaked eagle soared through the sky, flying over the Starfall Chess Arrangement mountain range and diving downwards. "Is this by Lake Mountain?" On the eagle, a middle-aged man around 40, with a heroic face, dressed in a black brocade robe, looked forward to the continuous mountain surrounding a vast, emerald green by Lake Mountain and said. Moments later, the eagle landed outside by Lake Mountain, kicking up a gust of wind. "Who goes there, may I ask your business at by Lake Mountain?" The disciple guarding the gate shouted upon seeing the visitor. One of the disciples, dressed in the apparel of by Lake Mountain and a member of the Lu family, showed surprise on seeing the heroic figure in a black robe, hesitantly asked with some uncertainty, "You are Uncle Li?" "Indeed, it's me." Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Li Feiyu smiled slightly as he was recognized by the other, but he couldn't immediately recall the other's name. When he left years ago, aside from individuals like Lu Pingan who were in their teens, most of the children were still toddlers. Now, more than 20 years had passed, and those children had grown up. Even as a cultivator with extraordinary memory, he could not fully recognize them from their childhood features. "Uncle Li, please wait here while I go inform the family head, my father," the Lu family's descendant said. He recognized Li Feiyu, but still followed protocol and did not open the gate immediately, instead going to notify the family head. Lu family mansion. "That's wonderful, my Zhenjin is really amazing. Lu Changxing was with Chu Zhenjin and Bai Ling, hearing that Chu Zhenjin had finished the refinement of the auspicious tree and begun proper refinement. As for Lu Miaohuan, since the abyssal ghoul blossom was a level more difficult, it would take much longer to refine. Just then, Lu Yun came to the outside of the hall to inform that Li Feiyu had arrived. Uncle Li. Lu Changxing was startled, then reacted with surprise and excitement. You mean Feiyu is here? Yes, it is indeed Li Feiyu, Uncle Li. Lu Yun nodded. He knew his father and Li Feiyu had a good relationship but was unclear on the specifics. Good. Lu Changxing nodded in response, immediately transformed into an escape light and flew out from Baiyun Peak, heading to the mountain gate. He had been concerned about Li Feiyu's safety ever since the substitute talisman had transmitted a signal. Knowing now that Li Feiyu had returned safely filled him with joy. Mountain Master, Father. The guarding cultivators saw Lu Changxing and immediately bowed in salute. Lu Changxing nodded, opened the gate, and with a smile said to the heroic figure in a black brocade robe, Li Feiyu, you have finally returned. I encountered some unexpected events, which led to the delay. Li Feiyu said with some emotion. He certainly remembered the time frame he had promised before. So, after breaking through to Foundation establishment, he had settled his affairs in Azure Phoenix Immortal City and immediately hurried back. It seems the unexpected events worked out for the best. Congratulations on your breakthrough to Foundation establishment. Lu Changxing, whose divine sense now surpassed most at the Foundation establishment peak, noticed at a glance that Li Feiyu had broken through Foundation establishment. Foundation establishment. The people nearby were astonished to hear this, looking at Li Feiyu with surprise. They had not expected that he was a foundation-building great cultivator. A look of respect instantly appeared in their eyes. It was just some luck, and actually, I owe a lot to you, Changxing. Li Feiyu said earnestly. Oh, it's related to me. Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow with interest. Let's go inside and talk. He didn't ask further and invited Li Feiyu into Bai Lake Mountain. This Bai Lake Mountain surrounded by hills and water really looks pretty good. As the two flew toward Baiyun Peak, Li Feiyu looked around at the scenery and commented. As a Foundation establishment cultivator, who had spent many years wandering the outside world, he had some discernment. He could see that the environment and spiritual energy of Bai Lake Mountain were exceptional. Ha ha ha, indeed it is quite nice. Lu Changxing laughed loudly, introducing the situation of his home to his friend. That mountain up ahead is Baiyun Peak, the main vein of my Lu family. That one is called Lingsui Cliff, our family's spirit medicine garden, and over there lies Bai Shui Lake, where we breed aquatic life. You may have heard of the red blood carp and blue blood carp, but recently I bred some aquatic spiritual beasts. Changxing, you are truly enjoying life, with the family being so well ordered. Li Feiyu said with emotion, admiring the surroundings. For the years he had been outside striving and cultivating, he sometimes considered whether to give it all up and settle down. Having a family spirit land of one's own and not drifting about is probably the ultimate dream for a loose cultivator. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 867, The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. You've now broken through to Foundation establishment. If you wish, you can also seek out a spirit land and establish a family just like I did, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. I'll think about that later, Li Feiyu said gently shaking his head. He thought the life was nice but he didn't entertain such notions, especially since he had just gained the opportunity to join the Azure Phoenix Guards under the Azure Phoenix Immortal. As long as he seized this chance, he hoped to break through to the middle stage and late stage of Foundation establishment in the future. Alright, Bihu Mountain welcomes you anytime, Lu Changxing said without trying to persuade him further. He could tell that Li Feiyu's Dao heart was very firm. People like this usually didn't stop in their tracks to choose a comfortable life. The two of them arrived at Baiyun Peak. Uncle pays his respects to Li Feiyu. Lu Yun was waiting outside and immediately greeted Li Feiyu when he saw him. Although his memory was a bit fuzzy and he didn't quite recognize Li Feiyu, he could still identify him. This is Lu Yun. Feiyu, you should remember him, Lu Chongqing said to Li Feiyu. So it's Lu Yun. Time flies, he's grown so much, Li Feiyu said, realizing the other was the son of Miaoyun, the fourth elder of the Lu family. His expression revealed a hint of nostalgia. He hadn't gone home on this visit. Over 20 years had passed by now, and his own children were likely settled down. He took a bracelet from his storage bag and said, "Here, this is a gift from your Uncle Li." "Ha, Feiyu, there's no need to be polite. Otherwise, your storage bag may not be enough for all the gifts," Lu Chongqing teased with a smile. "Those who come first get first served," Li Feiyu said chuckling, and he let Lu Yun accept the bracelet. But Lu Yun didn't know if he should accept it. "Since it's a gift from your Uncle Li with all his heart, Yuner, you should take it," Lu Chongqing said when he saw his honest son hesitating. He never liked this kind of excessive formality. The two arrived at the Lu family mansion. Lu Chongqing briefly introduced Li Feiyu. Miaoyun, Chu Xinjin, and others were quite surprised when they saw Li Feiyu and learned that he had broken through to Foundation establishment. After all, in the Qingyun region, a Foundation establishment cultivator could be considered an ancestor of a domain. Li Feiyu, with a low-quality spiritual root who had been an idle son-in-law in Qingzhou Mountain for years, had somehow broken through to Foundation establishment upon his return. Especially Miaoyun. She came from Qingzhou Mountain and knew the difficulty of Foundation establishment. The novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. For many years, Qingzhou Mountain had only just managed to continue the lineage of Foundation establishment until the situation had recently improved. Who would have thought that among the immortal seedlings brought back by Uncle Yuan Ding, two Foundation establishment cultivators, Lu Chongqing and Li Feiyu, would emerge? If word got out, it would be nothing short of astonishing. TSCK, Li Feiyu looked at the many women and children in his home, thinking that his good brother had truly not forgotten his beginnings and had always stayed constant. Thinking about how he fought for his life outside while Lu Chongqing lived such a life and broke through to Foundation establishment with ease, even with his firm Dao heart, he couldn't help but feel envious. However, he was happy to see his good brother's life getting better and better. After a while, someone arranged for food and drinks, and the two went to the side hall to catch up and chat. "It's also a matter of fate and fortune," Li Feiyu said, holding his wine cup and recounting his experience. "That day, in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, I ran into an old nemesis who chased me and encountered a second-order monster beast blocking the way. Facing such a situation, it was like facing certain death, but thankfully, it was the talisman you gave me, Chongqing, that saved my life. Then, under the transportation of the talisman, I arrived deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and guess what happened next?" Li Feiyu continued. Lu Chongqing was speechless. He had previously speculated that if Li Feiyu encountered danger in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, if the substitute talisman transported him deeper, that would be dangerous. He had not expected such a situation to actually occur. "Could it be that you just happened to come across some cave mansion or secret realm, or perhaps some treasure?" Lu Chongqing asked, raising an eyebrow. "Correct, but you definitely couldn't guess the situation at the time," Li Feiyu continued, taking a bite of his food. "Didn't you have a treasure map of an ancient relic site before?" "I was just transported right outside the relic marked on the treasure map." "Amazing," Lu Chongqing said after a moment of silence, uttering two words. Whether following the plot of a novel or as a character favored by luck in the cultivation world, Li Feiyu had indeed obtained a main character's template. He continued to ask, "Isn't that relic deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range supposed to be dangerous?" The treasure map contained information on the relics, with many hidden dangers and challenges. It would not be simple for Li Feiyu, who was at the Qi refinement realm, to gain something from it. No, I didn't explore that relic site. There, I happened to meet the Azure Phoenix Immortal, Li Feiyu said. The Azure Phoenix Immortal. The #1 independent cultivator of Jiang Kingdom and the city lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Lu Chongqing exclaimed in surprise. Yes, by providing information from the treasure map to the Azure Phoenix Immortal, I was granted this chance to break through to Foundation establishment. And the Azure Phoenix Immortal promised that if I broke through to Foundation establishment, I would be allowed to join the Azure Phoenix Guards, and if the breakthrough failed, I would be given a sum of spirit stones, Li Feiyu affirmed. After finishing, he got up, took out a storage bag with a serious expression, and said, Chongqing, my obtaining this opportunity is largely thanks to you. This is a little token of my gratitude. TSK. Lu Chongqing marveled at Li Feiyu's fortune and saw his friend suddenly act this way, immediately waving his hand and saying, Feiyu, you're being too formal. You've just broken through to Foundation establishment and need resources. There's no need for this. He had no interest in the ancient relic site from the treasure map. Seeing his friend obtain the opportunity for Foundation establishment through it, he was happy for him and felt it was worth it. Just accept it, Chongqing, otherwise, I really can't be at peace, Li Feiyu insisted earnestly, placing the storage bag in front of Lu Chongqing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 868, The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. _4 This spirit stone was obtained after he broke through to Foundation establishment and took revenge by killing Zhu He, then selling off his possessions for spirit stones. But he knew that compared to the opportunity he had obtained, these spirit stones were hardly worth mentioning. Okay. Lu Chongqing understood his friend's character and nodded in agreement. At that moment, he suddenly thought of the rumors about Azure Phoenix Immortal's injuries and asked aloud, Feiyu, I've heard Azure Phoenix Immortal was gravely injured. Is that true or false? Could the Immortal have been injured while exploring this ancient relic site? Lu Chongqing asked in such a manner. The news might be true, or it might be a deliberate release by Azure Phoenix Immortal City. SAR The Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I previously swore a heart demon oath not to speak of what is within the relic site, Li Feiyu spoke in a low voice. Azure Phoenix Immortal City deliberately released it. Lu Chongqing narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling that these words carried a more intriguing implication. He pondered and said, I remember Azure Phoenix Immortal isn't young anymore, right? Indeed, the city lord was already famous 200 years ago. By now, he should be 300 to 400 years old. Therefore, there are rumors that the city lord has reached the core formation peak long ago and has been out of the public eye for these years, all in pursuit of the nascent soul, Li Feiyu said with a touch of emotion. From a loose cultivator to his current status, aiming for the nascent soul, Azure Phoenix Immortal could be considered legendary. 300 to 400 years old, Lu Chongqing nodded. Once a nascent soul cultivator exceeds 350 years old, the probability of forming a nascent soul significantly decreases. If they exceed 400 years, there is essentially no hope of forming a nascent soul. Azure Phoenix Immortal's age makes it impossible to delay any longer, and it's likely that all his actions in recent years have been driven by the pursuit of the nascent soul. Attaining the nascent soul is not easy. Our Jiang country cultivation realm seems to only have the Heavenly Sword sect with a fourth-order spirit vein. Lu Chongqing took a light sip of his drink and continued to speak. He had discussed this issue with Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia before. He knew that in the entire Jiang country, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a fourth-order spirit vein capable of nurturing a nascent soul's foundation. Even Qingyun sect, Luoxia sect, and spirit-taming sect only had third-order top-grade spirit veins. And certainly, the Heavenly Sword sect would not lend their spirit vein to Azure Phoenix Immortal for his breakthrough. That's right, even after so many years of cultivation, Azure Phoenix Immortal City's spirit vein is only a third-order superior grade, far from reaching the fourth order. Moreover, Azure Phoenix Immortal City, located near the Myriad Beasts mountain range and on the border of Jiang country and Yu country, is a place neither side wants the city lord to succeed in forming a nascent soul. Li Feiyu shook his head and said. He had been won over by the various deeds and personal charisma of Azure Phoenix Immortal in his early years. Now that he had become a member of Azure Phoenix Immortal City and had contact with this legendary figure, he held even greater admiration. TSK. Lu Chongqing clicked his tongue in wonder, thinking to himself just how difficult it was to break through to the nascent soul. As a loose cultivator in Jiang country, breakthrough to core formation is possible. But to break through to the nascent soul, without going to another country or seeking opportunities abroad, there was virtually no chance. In the future, forming his own nascent soul would also pose the same issue. However, this was still too far away. The matter of core formation hadn't even been decided upon yet. Feiyu, now that you've joined Azure Phoenix Immortal City, do you plan to return afterward? Lu Chongqing looked at Li Feiyu and asked. Yes, once I've settled my family's situation back home, I'll go back, Li Feiyu said, his expression somewhat grave. Pursuing the Great Tao inevitably meant leaving behind many emotional ties. His return this time was intended to take care of all his family matters. Okay, let me know when you're heading to Rui Prefecture. I'll go with you, Lu Chongqing nodded and said. The Lu family now also had a certain influence in Rui Prefecture. Moreover, his children were related by marriage to Li Feiyu's children, so it was the right time to visit. Li Feiyu nodded in response. Li Feiyu had stayed on by Lake Mountain for 3 days before he set out for Rui Prefecture with Lu Chongqing. Chu Xinjin, having completed the ritual refinement of the auspicious tree, could not leave by Lake Mountain once she began to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Thus, accompanying them was also to prepare for a later visit to Zhoushan Mansion to pay homage to her parents. And as it happened, Lu Wangshu had heard about it and was curious to see what his secular family home was like. In this way, Lu Chongqing, along with his wife, children, and Li Feiyu, arrived in Rui Prefecture. The arrival of these individuals in Rui Prefecture caused no small stir for the Li family and Hong Yi. After all, Li Feiyu, who had been away for more than 20 years, had returned. Li Feiyu's wife and children were somewhat incredulous upon seeing him and hesitated to recognize him. Sigh. Lu Chongqing, seeing such a scene, sighed inwardly. In the face of such a situation, Li Feiyu simply entrusted his family to Lu Chongqing, hoping he would help take care of them in the future. He then left his father and brothers some elixir medicines, talisman scriptures, and a basic cultivation technique. Upon learning of Li Feiyu's breakthrough to foundation establishment, Hong Yi felt a mix of emotions. He thought back to the time when the 6 of them had taken the Immortal Sects assessment together, and now 4 had achieved foundation establishment. They had become lofty foundation-building great cultivators. Although Han Lin had not made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, he was nonetheless far superior to him in status, thanks to his artifact refining skills and his identity as an Immortal Sect disciple. If I had focused on cultivation instead of getting involved in the affairs of power, might I have had the hope of reaching foundation establishment? Hong Yi mused to himself. He suspected that Zhao Qingqing's breakthrough had something to do with Lu Chongqing. Now, after conversing and learning that Li Feiyu's foundation establishment owed much to Lu Chongqing, he couldn't help but think that with his relationship with Lu Chongqing, had he seriously cultivated earlier, perhaps foundation establishment would have been possible for him. But after some deliberation, he realized he simply did not possess Li Feiyu's determination to forsake everything for the sake of cultivation. Even now, at the 9th level, given a foundation establishment elixir, his chances of making that breakthrough were virtually nil. Black Cloud Mountain Range. Deep within a mining vein. Miss Liu, why bother? Although Bai Lake Mountain offers good terms, to my knowledge, you're hardly valued and your prospects for foundation establishment are slim. If you agree to cooperate with White Tiger Mountain, my Zhao family is willing to share 10% of the profits from this spirit stone mine with you. Furthermore, if you are willing to marry into my Zhao family, not only will you not lack for resources, but you will also get a share of foundation establishment spiritual objects in the future. The Zhao family elder tried to persuade Lu Rui, who was bound before him. He had not expected the matter with the mining vein to be detected so quickly by this young girl. She had stealthily infiltrated with the help of an invisibility talisman and discovered the spirit stone mine concealed by a formation. Elder Zhao, if you release me now, I can overlook this incident as if it never happened. Otherwise, should anything happen to me, once my family learns of it and investigates, the Zhao family will not be able to escape responsibility. Lu Rui said coldly. Though she had an 8th grade spiritual root and her mother was a concubine, not garnering much attention in the family, at least she had a good family environment without any intrigue or sordid schemes. Her brothers, like Lu Pingan and Lu Xianji, took good care of her as their sister. And not only did the family provide plentiful resources for her and her siblings, but they also offered a variety of choices for lifestyles, which was 100 times better than other families. She knew well that, in most families with her level of talent, the ultimate fate was alliance through marriage to another family. But in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, she had the right to choose. Especially now, when many smaller families in the surrounding area took pride in marrying into the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. She really didn't hold White Tiger Mountain's Xiao family in high regard. Miss Liu, I urge you to think it over carefully. After all, demon beasts frequently roam the Black Cloud Mountain range. It would be quite normal for you to encounter danger here and be devoured by a demon beast. Seeing his polite entreaties fall on deaf ears, the Zhao family elder said with a cold voice. He then instructed 2 of the family's young people to keep a close watch on Lu Rui. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 869, White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. Rui County City. Li Feiyu had been settling family matters these days. Lu Chongqing, on the other hand, had been taking his wife and children on trips around the area. Just then, Lu Chongqing felt an inexplicable sensation surge through his heart. Given the previous situation with Li Feiyu, he could confirm that it was his substitute talisman being used. Who could it be? It doesn't seem like Pingan or Qingshan, Qingzhu. Lu Chongqing was puzzled in his heart. The sensation was very faint. Yet, he could somehow sense that this talisman use was not like before with Li Feiyu, originating from a distant place. Could it be Xianji, Rui, or Chuanjin who are in danger? He furrowed his brows, guessing in his heart. Currently, there were 14 Lu family disciples out handling family matters. Apart from Lu Pingan, Lu Qingshan, and Lu Qingzhu who were not around, the other Lu family disciples had not traveled far. They were just managing business and family affairs in the surrounding area. This was why there had never been any mishaps among the Lu family disciples. After pondering for a while, Lu Chongqing exhaled lightly and said, "Xinjin, there is something at home. I need to go back." "Dear, what happened at home?" Chu Xinjin immediately asked with concern. Just a small matter that needs to be handled," Lu Chongqing said softly. Hearing this, Chu Xinjin did not continue to inquire further. Soon after, Lu Chongqing returned to the county city, informed Li Feiyu that he needed to go back due to some issues. "Chongqing, is there something wrong?" Li Feiyu, hearing that Lu Chongqing needed to return suddenly, immediately asked. "Do you remember the talisman I gave you? I refined it with my heart's blood, so I can sense it vaguely." Not long ago, I sensed that a talisman had been activated. It must be one of the children at home who is in danger. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Chongqing spoke. I'll come with you, maybe I can be of some help. Li Feiyu immediately offered. No need for such a big fuss, it might just be a robber cultivator threat. Lu Chongqing shook his head and chuckled. As he saw it, their children were only active around the area, and the only possibility was encountering a nomadic robber cultivator. However, considering the flaws of the substitute talisman, that being its erratic teleportation, should this child, like Li Feiyu, be transported to a dangerous place, it would then be troublesome. It's fine, I've almost dealt with the situation here. Li Feiyu said. Alright, since that's the case, let's go back and check. Lu Chongqing, seeing this, nodded. He then took his wife and children and headed back to Blue Lake Mountain. Black Cloud Mountain Range. Wujing Mine Site. Besides the Zhao family disciples managing the operations here as cultivators, most of the miners were ordinary humans. However, to be a miner here, one needed to be skilled in the martial path. Otherwise, even with a magic artifact, it would be impossible to endure the intense workload day and night. Outside the mine, an elder in a purple robe, who felt something, hurried out of the room. He immediately saw an old man in his 50s, with gray hair and a tall stature, descending from a flying boat. He hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. Ancestor, what brings you here? This purple-robed elder was none other than the Zhao family ancestor from White Tiger Mountain. Elder 9, what have you done? I asked you to be careful, and in such a short time, this girl has come to know about the Spirit Stone Mine. The Zhao family ancestor spoke sternly, disappointed. This Spirit Stone Mine was not large, just a small vein. If mined with full effort, it could be exhausted in 3 to 5 years. So, he thought that even if it were mined for a year or two, by the time it was discovered by the Blue Lake Mountain, it wouldn't matter. Yet, it had only been a few months since they began mining, and it had already been discovered by the other side. Moreover, the situation had become so stiff, which truly annoyed him. Ancestor, please forgive me. SAR the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The purple-robed elder immediately bowed, his face showing a bitter expression. I didn't expect that this girl would notice something was off and later entered the mine with a stealth talisman to investigate. What about this girl now? Is she willing to cooperate? The Zhao family ancestor asked coldly. Ancestor, this girl is tough and unyielding, why not use the demon-attracting fragrance and just throw her into the mountain range? Demons often appear in this Black Cloud Mountain range, and for a 6th-level energy refinement girl to die out there would be nothing unusual. Even if Blue Lake Mountain has suspicions, they couldn't possibly blame our family, could they? Moreover, I've inquired about it. Blue Lake Mountain relies solely on Lu Chongqing and his wives, and currently, they don't have many capable children. By the time Blue Lake Mountain arranges for someone else to come, who knows when it will be. By then, we would have almost mined this vein. The purple-robed elder spoke. In his view, although she was from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, Lu Changsheng's daughter. Yet, with Lu Chongqing having 100 or 2 children, losing 1 or 2 would be unnoticed. Could they really cause a big stir and trouble their Zhao family for that? Lu Chongqing takes relationships very seriously, he values feelings greatly. When he established the Blue Lake Mountain, he spent thousands of spirit stones to bring his secular wives and children to Blue Lake Mountain and even held a wedding with his mortal wives. Even if this girl isn't valued, try your best not to let him suspect our Zhao family in this matter. The Zhao family ancestor's demeanor remained calm as he spoke coldly. He was eager to swallow this spirit stone mine, but if possible, he preferred not to provoke Blue Lake Mountain. After all, the couple of Blue Lake Mountain Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, both practiced the dual cultivation technique, making their combat strength extraordinary. They also had Ling Zixiao, an array master. Ancestor, since that's the case, we just need to pretend to let this girl escape and secretly have someone follow her. When she is on her way back to Blue Lake Mountain, disguise as a robber cultivator and eliminate her. By then, Blue Lake Mountain can't possibly blame our Zhao family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 870, White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. The purple-robed elder continued to speak. At his age, having spent so many years in the cultivation world, he naturally had carried out many such deeds. Or rather, it could be said that most cultivators who live to an old age possess some means. Just do as you said. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor pondered for a moment and then nodded. At that time, I will take action myself. Where is the girl? He continued, preparing to confirm the situation to ensure nothing goes wrong. Elder ancestor, right this way, please. The purple-robed elder immediately spoke respectfully. A moment later, the two arrived at a damp and dark mine. Where is the person? I asked you, where is the person? The purple-robed elder looked at the emotionally blank puppet Lu Rui in the mine, his face twisted with rage, loudly questioning two Zhao family juniors. It was not only him. The Zhao family ancestor also had an extremely cold expression, his fists tightly clenched. Once Lu Rui had discovered the spirit stone mine, there was only a dead end for her. Even if she surrendered and married into their Zhao family, her future held only death. But now, the person had disappeared, leaving only a puppet. Elder ancestor, elder, we truly do not know what happened. The two Zhao family juniors, terrified, trembled and knelt to beg for mercy. How could you handle things like this? He, Lu Chongqing, a talisman master by origin, his children surely would possess life-saving talismans. Could it be that you did not even know to search the body and check thoroughly? The Zhao family ancestor, looking at the purple-robed elder, spoke with a voice filled with murderous rage. With such an incident occurring, once Lu Rui returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, their Zhao family would be in danger. Had it not been for the fact that the man before him was his own brother, he would have wished to strike him down. Elder ancestor, I have already seized the girl's storage bag and checked her body. There absolutely were no magic artifacts, talismans, or treasures. The purple-robed elder hastily explained. He then, with bloodshot eyes, continued to question the two Zhao family juniors about what happened. The two Zhao family juniors also realized the gravity of the situation. Finally, with grimaces on their faces, they truthfully confessed that since Lu Rui had been unwilling to submit, they had planned to apply some means to force her compliance. Who could have expected that Lu Rui would suddenly emit a layer of white light from her body and then transform into a wooden puppet? Faced with this situation, they also did not know what to do and were just discussing how to report this. Then the elder ancestor and the elder arrived. Useless trash, you truly deserve to die. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor was so enraged that he directly kicked the two men. The kick sent the two Zhao family juniors flying out, smashing hard against the mine's stone wall and spitting blood. Not only had the two caused such an issue, Sir the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But when a problem arose, they had not immediately reported it. Had he not personally come over, by the time the news meandered its way back to their family from the mine, Lu Chongqing might have already reached their White Tiger Mountain. By then, his family would surely be facing a dead end. Elder ancestor, what do we do now? The purple-robed elder, also looking distressed, inquired, unsure of what to do. What to do? You still have the face to ask me what to do. On hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor became angry again and kicked towards the purple-robed elder. Pointing at the ground at the puppet he said, this girl clearly escaped using a talisman. You couldn't even manage this properly and you've messed everything up. why don't you just go die? To be at such an age and still fail to properly search someone, allowing them to escape, it made the Zhao family ancestor tremble with rage. The purple-robed elder tried to argue and insisted that he really had conducted a thorough search. But at this moment, with the facts before his eyes, he knew that any explanation was pointless. He immediately clenched his teeth and said, "Elder ancestor, she must have left just a short while ago. Why don't you take me to Bihu Lake Mountain to ask for forgiveness?" Claiming that you did not know about this matter, that it had nothing to do with White Tiger Mountain, and that it was entirely my fault. The purple-robed elder thus spoke. Knowing that only by doing this, could he potentially diminish the gravity of the situation. This issue is not as simple as you think. Rumors from outside claim that Lu Chongqing is famously easygoing. Do you really think he is easy to provoke? How did Bihu Lake Mountain come about, and what happened to the Yu family in the end? This man has connections within Qingyun sect. Perhaps when the Yu family colluded with the demon path, it was all Lu Changsheng's deliberate scheme, utterly ruthless and thorough. Now that Bihu Lake Mountain has 3 foundation establishment cultivators and a Dao companion from Qingyun sect, with the family flourishing, just a couple more foundation establishment, and the family's spirit land would no longer suffice. Given this chance, how could he let this go and make it small? As the Zhao family ancestor spoke more, the more enraged and fearful he became. Never had he expected such a small matter to be bungled. He couldn't help but regret, had he known this would happen, he might as well have disclosed the spirit stone mine matter himself. Given the current situation of Bihu Lake Mountain, his own family might have managed to gain some benefits. Elder ancestor, then what should we do? The purple-robed elder, upon hearing this, spoke with a mournful expression. He, of course, understood that from a son-in-law to his position today, Lu Changsheng's dealings in the dark were certainly not simple. Just establishing a family and acting as a family head, whether for himself or his family, he usually took great care of his reputation. In the early years, our White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge shared some fellowship. Though the spirit stone mine is not large, if we present it, it might be possible to persuade Golden Dragon Ridge to step in and help. After all, with Bihu Lake Mountain rising day by day, Golden Dragon Ridge would not want to see our family in trouble. The Zhao family ancestor said with an ugly expression. Golden Dragon Ridge and White Tiger Mountain's founding elders were sworn brothers. Thus, the two families had always supported each other and had a very good relationship. But 100 years ago, for some unknown reason, there was a huge fallout between the elders of the two families, cutting off their relations, and ever since, their relationship had cooled. Unexpectedly, the elder of Golden Dragon Ridge broke through to a false core. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 871, White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. From now on, Jinlong Ridge had a false core patriarch in residence, and its fortune soared. Meanwhile, White Tiger Mountain gradually fell into decline, the sun setting in the west, with only one foundation establishment cultivator and an old, second-rank clan guardian spirit beast. Jinlong Ridge, the purple-robed elder's face showed a touch of distress. Although the two families had been on good terms in the early years, the bonds of kinship had already faded. One could even say that if it weren't for the sake of these kinship ties and the fear of tarnishing their reputation, White Tiger Mountain would have already fallen into the hands of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. But now, the Zhao family had no other choice but to seek help from Jinlong Ridge. Although White Tiger Mountain still had other allies, families that they were on good terms with, these family forces clearly would not want to antagonize by Lake Mountain. However, before that, you must immediately head to the paths around by Lake Mountain to see if you can intercept that girl. Then send people to Red Leaf Valley Market, Qingzhou Mountain, and 100 Birds Lake to intercept her together. If, as you said, this girl does not have a transmission talisman and cannot send a message to by Lake Mountain for help, we still have a chance. Zhao family ancestor continued. Yes, ancestor, it'll go right away. The purple-robed elder, as if seeing a glimmer of hope, promptly responded. A desolate mountain wilderness. This, the talisman my father gave us, is so extraordinary. Lu Rui, after a dizzy spell, took a long time to recover her senses, and found it somewhat unbelievable. She had been bound, her spiritual power completely restrained, unable to be utilized. Yet she had still managed to activate the talisman through her mental spirit. Where am I? Lu Rui surveyed her surroundings, recognizing only a desolate wilderness, but unsure of her exact location. I should have used the talisman my father gave me to escape immediately. If I had the iron feather eagle and a map now, I would know where I am and could quickly return home to inform my father. She bit her lip, regretting her handling of the situation when faced with danger. She had completely forgotten about the life-saving talisman her father had given her, failing to escape immediately. This led to her storage bag and spiritual pet bag being taken, making the journey back to Bai Lake Mountain rather troublesome. My family said, being away from home is very dangerous. All the cultivators you meet could potentially turn into robber cultivators. And the place I am now might have demon beasts lurking, which would be extremely dangerous. At this moment, Lu Rui began to cautiously contemplate how she could safely return home. Now she had no magic artifacts, no talismans. Merely at the 6th level of energy refinement, having only cultivated a few basic techniques, her combat ability was among the weakest of her peers. Bai Lake Mountain. After returning to the family, Lu Chongqing immediately had his son Lu Yun check the status of the Lu family disciples currently outside to identify which child had encountered an accident. Lu Yun was still unaware of the incident with Lu Rui, but on his father's orders, he didn't ask questions and went straight to verify. Lu Chongqing then waited at home for news. Congratulations, host. Your progeny has successfully borne 200 descendants. You have earned 1 raffle opportunity. At that moment, a system notification sounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. 200, Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows. His 200th child, also, was about to be born. But unexpectedly, the number of his grandchildren had stepped up faster, surpassing his own. CTH Novelfire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is the power of having many people. Lu Chongqing exhaled softly, murmuring to himself. He could faintly feel that this grandchild also had a spiritual root. But the spiritual root was probably of low quality, which for him, possessing a first-grade spiritual root, was of minimal effect. System, draw. Lu Chongqing thought silently in his mind. Immediately, the raffle will appeared, glowing golden. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2nd rank dragon-seeking technique. The reward has been sent to system space. The host can check it anytime. A light sphere, resembling the pattern of earth veins, emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by the system's voice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 872, Accusing White Tiger Mountain, Something's Off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Dragon Seeking. A Dragon Seeker. Lu Chongqing saw this skill and his face immediately showed a mix of surprise and delight. He had heard a thing or two about this craft before. Later, from Hong Lian, he learned in detail that a dragon seeker possessed the abilities to survey spirit veins, explore mines, pinpoint dragon acupoints, and cultivate spirit veins. At that time, he had thought if he could draw a feng shui master or dragon-seeking skill, there would be a way to accelerate the upgrading of the family's spirit vein. He hadn't expected the system to grant him a 2nd-order dragon seeking so quickly. Unfortunately, it's only a 2nd order. I wonder to what extent this 2nd-order dragon seeker can perform. Lu Chongqing commented somewhat regretfully. With his current eye for talent, a 2nd-order skill was already somewhat beneath his notice. He looked at the second-order dragon seeking technique in the system space. Second-order dragon seeking technique. After use, you can directly acquire second-order full-level dragon seeking technique and basic technique knowledge. Source: web novel. Com, updated on Omicron 0.0 activate. Lu Chongqing said without any hesitation. In an instant, a vast torrent of knowledge surged into his mind. After a long time, dragon acupoints pinpointing, spirit vein surveying, so the primary methods of a dragon seeker rely on divine perception and a pair of eyes. No wonder such inheritances are rare and not famous anywhere. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, his expression slightly enlightened, having grasped the various methods of a dragon seeker. CTH Nellfire. Any website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A dragon seeker, through divine perception and pupil techniques, senses spirit veins, pierces through illusions, penetrates to the origin, and locates spirit veins and spirit origin. The method spoken of by Hong Lian, which involves severing the spirit veins' origin, was also included. Such techniques were profoundly mysterious and somewhat similar to a spiritual plant master's transplantation technique but were much more difficult. A mistake in severing spirit veins could mean the destruction of a spirit vein. Even if the severing succeeded, the process would still incur severe degradation. For example, a complete second-order top-grade spiritual vein might lose half of its origin after being severed. It was precisely for such reasons that there were hardly any dragon seekers daring to cultivate these methods. After all, who had the capital to practice on spirit veins? However, aside from these severing methods, there were several techniques in Lu Changsheng's mind to nurture spirit veins, which could accelerate the growth of spirit veins. Origin Spirit Divine Perception, Origin Spirit Pupil Skill. Lu Chongqing experienced the two main techniques of a dragon seeker. Although he had acquired full-level skills, these two techniques could not simply be understood through contemplation. They required cultivation, the consumption of heavenly and earthly treasures, and continual strengthening of one's divine perception and eyes. Only in this way could one sense through divine perception the presence of spirit veins and spirit ores within the landscapes and mountains. And then, through the pupil skill, locate the exact position of the spirit vein and discern its origin. I'll pass on the origin spirit divine perception since I'm not really going to become a dragon seeker, but I might cultivate this origin spirit pupil skill. In my home, there is a luminous treasure tree whose essence can be used to cleanse the eyes, enhancing the spiritual eye technique. Moreover, Miaoyun has sacrificed the luminous treasure tree as her life-bound spiritual root, allowing me to dual cultivate with her, clear-sighted and bright-eyed, which makes cultivating such a pupil technique twice as effective. Lu Chongqing pondered. He had only previously cultivated the most basic spiritual eye technique. Later, Hong Lian provided a stack of cultivation technique inheritances, among which was a decent pupil skill. Considering his own comprehension abilities, it was too time-consuming, and since that pupil skill was more combat-oriented, he had not cultivated it. Now this origin spirit pupil skill came with the ability to pierce through illusions and discern origins, and required no time for contemplation, which he thought might be worth cultivating. By the time the pupil skill reached a small achievement, he could even venture out to search for spirit veins to upgrade Bihu Lake Mountain. After all, the current spirit veins of Bihu Lake Mountain were indeed insufficient. Whether it was for the foundation establishment of the children at home, the cultivation of heaven and earth spiritual plants, or his own core formation, higher-level spirit veins were necessary. 3 days later. Lu family mansion. Father, it's Rui's sister who has disappeared. I investigated and learned that Rui's sister's last known location was at Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing mine site. This mine is currently being exploited jointly by our family and the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. I questioned the Zhao family members, who confirmed Rui's sister did indeed visit the Wujing mine site a short time ago to inspect the ore stone extraction, but left afterward. I've searched through the Red Leaf Valley Market and Black Cloud Mountain Range using her identity token, but there has been no response from Rui's sister's identity token. Lu Yun reported respectfully to Lu Chongqing. Rui, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing Mine Site, White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, his face displaying a contemplative expression. It had been 6 days since the substitute talisman was used. And through the family records, he could confirm his daughter was still alive. But no news for 6 days, no homecoming, and no response from the identity token suggested that his daughter's storage bag was likely stolen. Why would the storage bag be taken if she had used a substitute talisman to escape? That means, it's highly likely that Rui was first robbed of her storage bag before escaping using the substitute talisman. A hint of coldness flickered in Lu Changsheng's eyes. Chongqing, this matter is probably related to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Li Feiyu, standing by his side, spoke up directly, his expression showing a hint of murderous intent. Although he had no proof. But given the current information, he instantly concluded that Lu Rui was harmed by someone familiar. Yuner, have the family members avoid going out, it'll bring Rui back. Lu Chongqing spoke calmly. His daughter's final destination was the Black Cloud Mountain Range, so he naturally suspected the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Despite not understanding why the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain would target Lu Rui, as long as he brought his daughter back, everything would become crystal clear. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 873, Holding White Tiger Mountain Accountable, Something's Off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Father, do you know where Sister Rui is? Lu Yun asked, somewhat surprised. I have my ways. Lu Chongqing said softly, nodding his head. He then returned to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, into the talisman room, holding a talisman brush. He took out a third-rank talisman paper and began crafting a talisman. He possessed the 99 mystical talisman scripture, which encompassed a wide array of techniques. Among them was a talisman called Blood Tracking Talisman. The user could use their own blood to make the talisman direct them to the person connected by blood. 3 hours later. The talisman table surged with mana, erupting in a burst of blood-colored spiritual light. Then the light receded, leaving only a mysterious and complex rune flowing slowly. Phew! Finally, it's done. Lu Chongqing exhaled a long breath, picked up the talisman, and walked out of the talisman room. Lord Chongqing. Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge had also learned of Lu Rui's situation and came forward to express their concern. This was the first time Bihu Lake Mountain had encountered such an incident, and they had to attach great importance to it. This talisman is called Blood Tracking Talisman. It can find Rui's location by using our bloodline as a guide. Lu Chongqing showed a hint of a smile when he saw the two women. Then, walking out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, in front of the two women, he smeared his own blood onto the talisman to activate it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. However, as soon as the talisman was activated, it started swirling around on its own. One moment it pointed towards Bihu Lake Mountain, the next towards Rui Prefecture. Lu Chongqing was somewhat speechless at the sight. He thought to himself, what kind of trash talisman is this to be ranked as third rank? It's not at all sensitive. Cough, cough. He coughed lightly to cover his embarrassment, then went to Baiyun Peak to find Lu Rui's mother and smeared a drop of her blood on the talisman. Suddenly, the blood-tracking talisman was suffused with a faint spiritual light, indicating a direction. I can go by myself. Lu Chongqing told Lu Miaoge, Li Feiyu, and others. After that, he rode a purple flying shuttle, following the guidance of the blood-tracking talisman, left Bihu Lake Mountain to search for his daughter, Lu Rui. In a desolate wilderness. Huff, huff, huff. Lu Rui, seeing that the bear demon had not pursued her, immediately sat down to rest against a large tree, taking deep breaths to recover. These few days of wilderness survival had given her a profound understanding of the difficulties normal cultivators faced. Before this, she knew her brothers and sisters had better conditions than most loose cultivators. But she never imagined that without magic artifacts, elixir medicines, talismans, and spirit stones, surviving alone was so difficult. At first, when she encountered a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, she relied on her 6th-level energy refinement cultivation to kill it. But after killing it, she realized a problem. She now had no spirit stones or elixir medicines, and restoring spiritual power was very slow and troublesome. In the following times, she did her best to avoid confrontation, fearing that her spiritual power would be depleted and attract other demon beasts. For food and drink, she only dared to pick some wild fruits she recognized and quietly hunted a few wild animals to make do. The family token is gone too. I wonder if my family can find me. Lu Rui looked around at the lush foliage and towering ancient trees, her lips tightly pursed, feeling powerless. Through these days, she realized that she was still in the Black Cloud Mountain Range. Although Black Cloud Mountain Range was not particularly dangerous, her current condition made it very difficult to escape. Especially now that the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain was surely searching for her. If she had a storage bag with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, she could ride the Iron Feather Eagle back home or send a message and wait for rescue. After all, with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, not to mention a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, even if she encountered a late phase of first-order demon beast, she would have some confidence. But without magic artifacts, talismans, spirit stones, or elixir medicines, she was truly at a loss. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just then, she heard the sound of the wind rustling through the grass from afar. Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Rui immediately tensed up, held her breath, and concealed her aura, staying still. In earlier years, she had learned wilderness survival knowledge at Qingzhou Mountain and Bihu Lake Mountain. But all that had been theory, and she had never truly experienced it. The night before last, she was nearly killed by a demon beast that had approached while she was resting. Thankfully, the auto-defense of her vestment robe narrowly saved her life, making her apprehensive and constantly vigilant. Phew! After a while, when Lu Rui saw no danger, she let out a sigh of relief and found a cave to rest in. Huff, huff, huff. Not long after, she suddenly heard noises outside, with the sound of eagle cries and birds chirping, so she quickly hid. Rui! Just then, she heard a familiar voice calling. Daddy! Upon hearing this voice, Lu Rui felt as if she was dreaming, thinking she was hallucinating. These days, she had thought countless times about her father or someone from home coming to rescue her. But she knew, with her storage bag taken away and without the family identity token, her family had no means to find her. But the next moment, she saw a figure, tall and slim, dressed in a cyan magical robe, with handsome features and gentle eyes filled with concern, appear at the entrance of the cave. Rui! Lu Changsheng's eyes immediately revealed tenderness as he saw his daughter's condition. He knew that she must have suffered a great deal during these days. Daddy, woo woo woo, Lu Rui finally snapped out of her daze, knowing that her father had truly come for her. She rushed into Lu Changsheng's arms, hugging him tightly and crying in his embrace, her voice filled with grievance. All the fear and suffering of these days burst forth at that moment. She was not one to be timid or helpless. Otherwise, she wouldn't have volunteered to manage affairs outside, handling the family's business cooperation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 874, Confronting White Tiger Mountain, the Suspicious Spirit Stone Mine. But for so many years, she had never been subjected to such humiliation, nor experienced such frightening and precarious a life. Don't cry, it's all right, Daddy's here. Lu Chongqing saw his daughter's tear-stained face and felt a pang of heartache, voicing comfort. He had always been soft-hearted, unable to bear seeing women in tears, especially when it was his own daughter. Although he hadn't paid much attention to his daughter, Lu Rui, in recent years, he had been very affectionate towards her in her early years. After all, she was the third child of his to possess a spiritual root, following Lu Xianji and Lu Chuanjin. After a moment, Lu Rui finally dried her tears and, with reddened eyes, said apologetically, Daddy, I'm useless, I've made you worry. It's okay, as long as you are unharmed. Lu Chongqing gently wiped the tears from his daughter's eyes and asked gently, Rui, what happened? His voice was calm and gentle, but a wave of anger was rising in his heart. For so many years, it was the first time he saw one of his children being bullied to such an extent. If it weren't for the substitute talisman he had given her, and the blood-tracking talisman, she would have already lost her life. It was White Tiger Mountain. Lu Rui spoke with a choked and aggrieved voice, recounting the incident. She had previously noticed during the audit of the Wujing mine site that there were more miners than before, but the output had not increased. Furthermore, 2 direct lineage descendants of the Zhao family had been consistently courting her, prompting her to be more cautious. Then, using a stealth talisman, she sneaked into the mine to investigate. The result was that she alerted the Zhao family's descendants, who had already set up a formation that trapped her. At that time, I forgot about the life-saving talisman you gave me, and then, Lu Rui said in a quiet voice, her head bowed. She knew that if she hadn't acted so impulsively, and had either reported the matter to the family or activated the substitute talisman immediately, she could have escaped safely. It's fine, let Daddy handle this matter. Lu Chongqing hugged his daughter and comforted her softly, without blaming her. After all, it was impossible for all his children to be exceptionally talented. Besides, the children at home still lacked the tempering needed in crises and their responses to them. But through his daughter's words, he understood why the Zhao family had moved against her. The novel, F.I.R. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Wealth seduces the heart. Even a small spirit vein of a spirit stone mine could produce tens of thousands of spirit stones. For a foundation establishment family like the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, tens of thousands of spirit stones wasn't a small sum. Enough to drive them to take risks. If it hadn't been for the substitute talisman given to his children, which allowed him to find his daughter, he could only have suspected White Tiger Mountain at most. Following the practices of Qingzhou Mountain in the past, in such a situation, if there was only suspicion without evidence, he would probably only be able to keep it in his heart and at most demand some compensation. My Blue Lake Mountain Lu family is different from other families. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, murmuring to himself. He lowered his head to look at his daughter and said softly, Come on, let's go home first. Then, holding his daughter's hand, mana surged around him, forming a protective shield as he mounted the purple cloud shuttle and shot into the sky, turning into a streak of light that disappeared into the horizon. If a regular foundation establishment cultivator were to carry an energy-refining cultivator such a distance, the mana consumption would be significant. But with the profound origin bead, his mana was comparable to a false core, and he no longer had to consider such issues. A day later, Lu Chongqing brought his daughter back to Blue Lake Mountain. Father, Sister Rui. Husband, Rui. Lu Yun, Lu Miaoyun, and others were surprised to see Lu Chongqing return with Lu Rui so soon. Chongqing, what happened? Li Feiyu, upon hearing of Lu Changsheng's return, came to inquire. White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Lu Chongqing said calmly. Indeed. Li Feiyu snorted coldly. Chongqing, since that's the case, let's go directly to the Wu Jing mine site to confirm the situation, and then we'll head to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain to demand an explanation. His breakthrough in Foundation establishment, even though he had given Lu Chongqing 10,000 spirit stones, still left him feeling indebted and wanting to help out Lu Chongqing. Lu Rui by his side was somewhat astonished. She did not recognize this somewhat familiar middle-aged man, who appeared so domineering. Before her father even spoke, the man was ready to go to White Tiger Mountain Zhao family for accountability. Thinking of her father's and Auntie Maiage's track record, she felt very assured. After all, the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain only had one foundation-building great cultivator. Although there were rumors of a second-rank White Tiger demon. But no matter what, they were no match for her family. Alright, let's do that. Lu Chongqing nodded. Seeing that Lu Rui did not recognize Li Feiyu, he smiled and introduced, Rui, don't you recognize him? This is your Uncle Li. He even held you when you were little. Uncle Li. Lu Rui remembered him, a little surprised, and quickly performed the formalities, surveying this Uncle Li. Little Rui is all grown up now. Li Feiyu laughed heartily. Yuner, go call all the Lu family disciples above the 5th layer of energy refining. Lu Chongqing said after a moment's thought. His family just happened to lack a spirit land, spirit vein. Since the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain insisted on clashing, he naturally would not be polite. And the children at home also lacked experience. They had not seen big events, so this trip could be an opportunity for them to witness and learn. Yes, father. Lu Yun responded immediately upon hearing this. Oh, and you can bring Jiuyo along. Lu Chongqing added. After he finished, he asked Li Feiyu to wait for a bit, went to Mount Sumer Cave Heaven, and called for Lu Miaoge. Lord, I have recovered, and Miaoge can oversee the home just as well. Ling Zixiao, discerning Lu Changsheng's intentions, said so. As an array master, she was more suited to attack family spirit lands. Otherwise, it would not be easy for Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge alone to breach the mountain protection array of White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible.